Welcome back to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt. We're on episode 49 of this podcast.
That's wild.
We were just discussing before. Yeah, we're coming up to the big episode 50. I'm going to try to do something. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to spoil it if it doesn't happen.
I don't think
but I'm going to try to do something special. We'll see. So fingers crossed, may or may not happen for the next episode. But we're in episode 49. So, and the funny thing is when I was looking at, I thought we'd end our year on episode 50. We'll actually end our year on episode 51. But but that's because the next episode we'll have right before the Game Awards, and then we'll have it literally right after, which is important to do because then you can talk about all the crazy shit that happened at the Game Awards. So. But we'll go ahead and kick it off with what we've been playing. I'm going to talk about the other stuff I've been playing and leave the big thing for the last part of it. So, quick things off the top here. Buddy and I, we're at that time of the year again, playing some Resident Evil 5 Classic. It's fun to go through right now because we're talking about, like, how do you think they're going to remake this game if they do that?
I really want a remake of that one. That's like my most.
I both do and don't at the same time because I feel like they're going to have to change some things that they may not be looked upon as
today as
it was
to be weirdly different
15 years ago.
Right. I think one of the biggest caveats that game will have to do if they remake it is I don't think they'll do split screen.
I don't think so either. I think it'll be straight up you play online, and that's fine.
It's fine.
But like at this point, I would like to see it in this new engine. I mean, even going back and playing Resident Evil 5, it still looks incredible. Like the game looked incredible at the time it came out. It still looks really good. But yeah, we're honestly just playing through the story. We're playing the Xbox One like re-release, which we never did a run of it on professional. So we're doing that with the rockets where it doesn't tank the frame rate as much on a Series X. So with just infinite rockets and spamming those up, but it's fun. So we started doing that. I did jump in. Finally, it came out this week that Halo 3 refueled playlist for Halo Infinite. So there are 9 maps. I played a couple matches of that. Really, they rebuilt those maps really well. I'm trying to think of the maps I played. I played, remember Narrows, the like lawn bridge map? Yes. That one I played. Yeah. So I did that one, and then I'm trying to think of the name of the other one. It's like a grassy area that has like a satellite. That's a pretty good map too. I can't think of the name of it, but I played a couple matches of it. And the fun thing about playing it now is like I think there are people playing it that just don't remember those maps, so I actually did pretty good.
There's probably plenty of people playing those maps for the first time.
Exactly. Yeah. So exactly. But I had a lot of fun doing that. And then the last other thing before I get to the big thing, I'm trying to find a good way to play Dragon's Dogma in 2023 because the new one, and we'll get to it in the news. The new one's probably coming out early next year. Sounds like it might be March. So that's a little prelude to news, but that was kind of leaked, I think, yesterday or today. So they're going to have a stream at the end of November, and I guarantee you they'll probably either announce it there or they'll say, we'll show more at the Game Awards. So, but I've never actually played through Dragon's Dogma myself. At the time that game came out, I bought it for the Resident Evil 6 demo. And then my best friend's brother at the time would just crush RPGs. So I would watch a lot. Like I watched him play through Lost Odyssey twice. Yeah. But I watched him play through a lot of Dragon's Dogma, which it is a fucking great game. But I've been kind of going back like, well, what version do I want to like try and play? Because I actually for whatever reason, I own it on everything. So I have it on Xbox One. At some point I got it digitally. Maybe it was a Plus game or something. I don't know. But I have it digitally on PlayStation. But those versions only run at 30 frames. They never did any kind of updates. So then I've kind of dived into like, well, I can play it on Steam, and I can also play it on my Steam Deck, and it actually runs pretty well on the Steam Deck as well. So I'm kind of going back and forth between PC and Steam Deck. So I've only dived very, very little into it because I've just been testing like what version do I want to play. So, but I want to get through that because I really want to play the new one, and it's just a game that's always eluded me. So. But we'll talk about the big game of the week for me, which I am maybe 2/3 of the way through now. So, which is Alan Wake 2, which I will tell you right now will be my game of the year. That's how good it is. I might come out of the other end of this and actually say I like it more than Control, which is
big
shocking.
words. Big words.
It is, for better or worse, it is not only a sequel to Alan Wake, but in many ways kind of a sequel to Control as well. In certain respects. It is absolutely bonkers. The best way I can describe it is the first Alan Wake was kind of like the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks, and this game is like the return from 2017. So it's much darker, much more focused on like the supernatural part of Twin Peaks. Very much like this game. If Control has elements of like Twin Peaks and X-Files, I'd say Control leans more towards the X-Files. This is Twin Peaks. Like straight up. This guy was like, I love Twin Peaks. I want to make that into a video game. That is exactly what this game is. And it is great. It is insane. Some of the stuff, like the way the story, I'm trying to think of the best way, like to describe it. It's a mind-bending game. I sent you, like, for example, elements of Control that are in this game. So like, everybody remembers the big part of Control where she's in the room. They play that song by the old gods of Asgard.
God, my favorite part.
Great part of that game.
Probably lasted 10 years.
That band is a huge story element in this game.
Amazing.
They go through, like, to the point that your main character, not Alan Wake, the girl, Saga Anderson, one of those members of that band is her grandpa.
Excellent.
In this story. So, so there is a sequence in this game, and it is full motion video, because there's a lot of FMV in this game, where that band plays like a musical rock opera song with Alan Wake singing it. And it is incredible. Well, you are running through like a maze as it's going on, of like different screens coming down with that going on in the background, like on the screens. So it's kind of
like what happened in Control, like
kind of, but like I would say crazier,
next level,
like, because, and you think about it, like it's been a couple of years, we're on next gen hardware now, so they can do a lot more with it. But like it's like a 20-minute song. They've actually put it out on YouTube now, amazing. Like officially. It is insane. But it is. The game starts out very much, you're playing as this other character, Saga Anderson. You find out Alan Wake's been stuck on this other side for 13 years. So, I mean, they straight up are like, it's been 13 years like it has in real life, you know. The first Alan Wake was 2010. I mean, it's almost mirrors Twin Peaks in terms of like, it basically goes the route of like, there is a good version of Alan Wake, and then there's a doppelganger, which is referred to as like Scratch. Okay. I've not seen this character yet, but like they literally are just borrowing what they did in this third season of Twin Peaks, but I'm all for it. And then it kind of just unravels to the point where like you realize your character is in his story that he's writing in this other world, and what he writes can change the story. So different elements of it change out. Like you'll go through this town and there'll be people that start talking to you like, oh, we haven't seen you in a while. And your character's like, I've never lived here. I'm just an FBI agent. And it just gets like weirder and weirder and weirder as you go without spoiling it. So like, that's how she figures out like, oh, that dude from this band is my grandpa and we're related. And they go through a route on that. Another thing that's really cool, the janitor from Control, Ati.
Yeah, that guy's fantastic.
Full backstory in this game of where that character came from. He sings at one point. He sings a song at one point. It's great. Awesome. It is a mind-blowing game. It looks incredible visually. Like whatever that engine there, that Northlight engine that they use for Control, they've only like amped it up in this game. I'm playing, so it has 2 modes. It has a quality and it has a performance mode. I'm playing on performance mode. I've had 0 problems. Like the only weird thing that I had in the entire playthrough is that towards the very beginning, I had a situation where I was supposed to grab something out of like a refrigerator, and it just did not appear.
No prompt,
And I had to look it up, and like it's not there. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I did what I was supposed to do, and I had to Google, and like, no, it's a known issue. They've already patched it, so
okay.
But it was a known issue, but it's no longer a thing. But like I can't say enough good things about like before I went into this, I'm like, Starfield probably be my game of the year because of that. And like, no, this has just floored me from beginning to end. It does, like, it is a survival horror game. It does horror very, very well. I wouldn't say it's not very jump scare. It's not a very jump scare game. there is combat in it. It's not a lot of combat, but the combat is a lot more refined than the original Alan Wake. Like the original Alan Wake, because I just played through it a couple weeks ago. There is a lot of times in that game where there are infinite loops of enemies coming at you. This game does not do that.
That's good.
It is like a couple will just show up. You put them down. You move on. But it is a wild game that like it is a rare situation where like I have purposely taken my time because I do not want the game to end, which never happens. So like every night I'm like, I play a little bit and I'm like, okay, I don't want to go further right now.
That's how I played Control. Like I would literally just like spend time running around that building, like seeing where you could get to and looking for cool stuff. And like that game.
Even my friend, I keep telling him about it because he played Control and he loved it. And I tell him like the one negative thing I'll say, I really wish they had made a physical version of this game.
Me too.
Because I would literally, like, told him, I was like, if I had a physical copy, you could borrow it when I'm done.
Yeah.
It's a single player through game. There's no bullshit. There's no microtransactions. There's none of that in this game. There is a season pass.
There's no live service battle pass.
There's no live service battle pass.
For every 10 ranks, I unlock a new chapter of the book or something.
You get a bigger flashlight for Alan Wake.
More Energizer batteries.
The batteries are not named.
They're not brand name anymore.
No, they actually removed that from that remaster too.
Yeah, I know.
So
I got to figure that contract.
There's a lot of good stuff with like TV. They do a lot of stuff, and Twin Peaks does this as well, where they have like different TV commercials you can watch that are kind of funny and weird. And you can go and watch this stuff. The one other thing I really like is this game has what's called a case board for Saga Anderson, and then for Alan Wake, instead of a case board where you can like put clues and stuff on this board, his is a writer's board.
That's cool.
So when you play as him, for example, like when you're playing as him, you go into like a specific room, and they have to be specific rooms. Like he might walk in and because he's writing the story, he'll go, oh, well, this doesn't seem right. I need something else to be here. You can hit the back button, which there's no loading in this game. It's instant. You're in this like writer's room. He can change how the story is worded, so it'll completely change the layout of the room and what's in there. So like, for example, if he's missing a specific puzzle piece, let me see if it's in this one. And he'll change the script of it, and then it'll rearrange the room and you'll go back. So it's pretty cool. I haven't done as much with Alan Wake, honestly, because so in the beginning of the game, it very much focuses you like, hey, you're going to play as Saga Anderson for a little bit. You switch to him, you switch back. I'm at a point now where you can switch between them. Mm-hmm. And I found myself so interested in her story that I'm like, I'm just going to finish playing as her, and then I'll do Alan Wake stuff. Yeah. Because her story is so interesting and weird. And it's just a mind blowing game. So was I like it? I don't love the original Alan Wake. Like it's okay. It wasn't scary enough for me when it came out. It hit some of the right notes, but I never felt like that game hit everything it needed to be, where like this hits exactly everything I would want it to hit. So yeah, nice. Next time we record, I'll most likely be done with it. So I'll have more to say about it, but I love the game. So it's easily far and away the best thing I've played this year. So I will kick it over to you, Dan. That wraps up for me. Okay. What have you been playing?
So I've been playing, so I went back to an older game now that I've finished Lost Judgment, or at least what I want to finish out of that game. I really wanted to play another Yakuza style game, but I didn't necessarily want to do another like action one, so I finally decided to start Like a Dragon. A lot of the reason I started that too is because I really want to play Infinite Wealth, just because I can't wait to run like a Animal Crossing hotel type thing, or whatever the hell that's going to turn into being. So I started Like a Dragon, and because I think was it a Plus game at some point, or did I buy it digitally cheap? I think it might have been a Plus game.
I think it was either a Plus game or it probably was really cheap.
I own a physical copy, so I doubt I bought a digital copy. Okay. But it might have been a Plus thing at some point, but whatever. It's installed on my system, so I can just boot it. I'm on like chapter 5 because the game, you've played a lot of it. You beat it, right?
I beat it.
Yeah. So the game does go at a pretty fairly good pace if you're just kind of playing through it. It does have a good pace. Yeah. So like I haven't done too much, but I would say I haven't done like not enough. But I'm on like chapter 5, so I can finally change
characters do you have right now?
I only have the first 4.
Okay, so you have I always forget the guy's name, but you have the trash man, as they call him.
Not Nanda, which is the homeless man.
That dude's awesome.
I think Akachi is the detective guy.
Yeah, that guy's cool.
Psycho, who is the
chick, right?
The woman who's like, she's
like a businesswoman. Her
sister
or
used to work for the guy, and she's like a part-time
Each character in that game is like incredibly fucking interesting.
I love everyone I've met so far.
They're all good. Yeah,
they're all incredible. I think I was talking to you and another friend of ours where whatever it is, I don't know how they do it, but RGG, like, they make main characters in their games instantly likable without question.
Yeah.
Like, Kiryu is incredible, no question.
Yeah.
I love Yagami from the Judgment series. Instantly likable, no question.
Ichiban
is incredible. Like, he's just like, you are on his side immediately. And the way they flesh out his backstory and like everything that's going on, I didn't know too much about this one before I started, but like the fact that like he goes to jail for 18 years is like a favor to the family, and then he gets out and everything's just gone to hell and he has no clue what's going on. It's a really good it's a really cool way to like set up a whole game for him. Like he has to start from the bottom. Nothing makes sense.
I like the explanation of why it's an RPG because of how he thinks of the battles.
He's so into Dragon Quest that like everybody like
that part is amazing.
Change. They call him the hero. His first job is the hero. You find that bat like stuck in the ground. And just everything about it is just fun, but it's also like it plays really well. I love the fact that like changing jobs literally means you have to go to the job center to get new jobs. Yeah, like that's crazy as hell, but it works so well in like the context of this game. It's just everything about it is fun. I do think that something that holds it back a little bit compared to like obviously I just played a lot of Lost Judgment, which actually most of the Lost Judgment takes place in the same town that you're in.
Oh, okay. That's
so
cool.
I'm very familiar with where everything is like immediately. But this game gates stuff really hard. Like you can't go anywhere you want. Sorry, you just can't.
It does.
It's a little frustrating because it kind of means I can't really go off and explore. Like I like finding the sub stories and doing the little sub stories, and some of those they're
fucking crazy.
Some are, but they're all good.
They're all good. Like there's not a bad one.
No, like collecting cans. Okay, some of them are emotional. Some of them are crazy as fuck.
Yeah,
like obviously like the one with like the Men in Diapers Club that you go to, but then you unlock them as a summon. Sure, man, whatever. Like it's just
the summons are called what? Pound mates, right?
Pound mates. So
okay.
I have two of them. I know I'm pretty sure the crawfish is one. I have to finish that.
Yes.
Story.
Okay. That was the one that I called my girlfriend in to see because I was like, you just need to see this.
I have to finish that one of the most I'm like in the middle of it.
Yeah. But, that one is amazing.
I do like the fact that you can turn like random encounters. There is like an auto function, but you can still like participate in it. Where like you can still like the timing and stuff, which is good because they aren't. It's not the best AI for like how to roll out like do automatic battling. Other games do it better. Not. They prioritize the wrong things and don't. They don't like gang up on enemies. They kind of spread the damage, which is kind of dumb. But it's good for like the low level stuff where like you're just gonna walk through it anyway. I love everything about this game. I told you I just got to the management sim stuff with like the candy company.
I lost like 10, 15 hours to that.
It's so good. Like
that was like 2 or 3 straight nights of that's all I did.
But like it's so good. People and assigning people and investing.
The
and
board meetings.
The board meetings.
You've done the board. Yeah.
That's the next thing I have to do.
They're so good.
Yeah. But like
it's just like a little quick time mini game, and then like it just you crushing those people when they ask their dumb questions. It's amazing.
I can't wait.
It is amazing.
Yeah. I love everything about this game. And it's the kind of thing where like I can play it for a couple hours and I still want to play more.
Yeah.
And it's a really good pace change from Lost Judgment, which is like, you know, detective work and like that game has like literal like courtroom hearings and stuff in it. Whereas this is Dragon Quest, but with Yakuza characters.
The new one it's set in Florida or is it Hawaii?
It's Hawaii.
It's Hawaii. Okay.
Yeah, which is going to be insane, but awesome at the same time.
It looks so good.
And then you know, I'm so far behind because you've got like Man Who Erased His Name just came out, right?
Yeah.
And then there's I haven't played Ishin, and Infinite Wealth is in like
Infinite
January.
Wealth is end of January.
Yeah, it's just crazy. But
like last week.
I'm excited for that. So I like this game a lot. I'm hoping to finish it by that time.
You can finish it before Infinite Wealth.
Because it's like the main thing I'm playing now.
The literal only thing I didn't do in that game was the last like Infinite Tower thing because it is insane. It's supposed to be
crazy. Yeah.
I did everything else though. Like I did not go into that game. I did not go into that game thinking, oh, I'll do all this side stuff, and like I just learned from playing that like how good it is.
As far as well, and the thing about this one too is as far as like trophies go for Yakuza related things, this is probably the easiest list I've seen.
Gotcha.
Because
it is.
Lost Judgment can get kind of rough. Well, because those other ones, like Lost Judgment and Judgment, they require you to beat that game on the hardest difficulty, which...
I wouldn't want to do that.
Man, I can't even imagine what that final fight in the first one is like on hard.
Yeah, no thanks.
So yeah, no thanks. But so I did that. The other thing I did was yesterday, the Back to the Future Power Wash Simulator DLC dropped. I even told you in the beginning that it's like, well, maybe I'll just wait to do it later. But then it was like, it was $8 and I was like, this is something I can play today. It's just more Power Wash Simulator, but it's
they added trophies to it.
Yes, it has trophy support. There's some fun ones like so the levels are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are the levels like? Obviously, one will be cleaning the DeLorean.
One's cleaning the DeLorean. One is
cleaning his house.
No, one is the courthouse. One is the train. That's the last one.
Okay,
one is the movie theater from 2. That's where cool. Remember when the Jaws like hologram comes out?
Yeah.
You have to clean that thing. There's a trophy to get the Jaws hologram to come out.
That's cool. I like that. Okay.
One of the things I like about the DLC is, like when you're playing a level, like every 20%, like a message will come up and whatever, and it'll be like, oh, thanks for doing this. So can you do this? In this one, it's the production assistant from the making of the movies. Telling you about the movies they're going to make after you finish cleaning this stuff. So they'll talk about like, he's like, I think there's going to be hoverboards in this one when you're doing like the theater for 2. It's just little stuff like that, which makes it fun.
Yeah.
You have to clean the DeLorean. And the funny part about that is once you clean it, it takes off. But if you don't leave the level and you hang around, it comes back a minute later. Like it does in the movie, which is cool. That's a trophy. And then at the end, when you clean the train, that's one. What's the other level?
How many levels are there total?
There's 5.
5. Okay.
DeLorean.
That's a pretty.
Yeah, there's one like the tutorial thing at the beginning. Oh, Emmett's van.
Okay.
Like his van from the first one where like you meet him. So that's like your tutorial. This is how it works, kind of a thing.
That's cool.
It's really cool. It's one of the more satisfying ones because when you're cleaning like the DeLorean, you have to clean all the parts and stuff. So it's one of those things where like they're so small that like you get a lot of dings in succession, which is good.
Okay.
And the train is like that too, where like the train is a lot of like complicated parts and machinery.
That's cool.
Yeah, I really, really like it. It was fun. Excuse to play more Power Wash Simulator, which is always good.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this kind of fits in, but I discovered that I don't know if I talked about it when it happened, but my PS5 went through like a crazy fucking hard crash. Right, to redo like the firmware and stuff and everything.
Yeah.
And it nuked like everything that was on the system. So my PS5 saves were fine. My PS4 saves are gone.
Ooh, that sucks.
All of them are gone. For anything that was like a PS4 game, the save
you have them
destroyed,
backed up in like
it's all gone. I don't know what the hell happened.
That's weird.
Have all disappeared. So if I want to 100% that game, I have to replay the whole thing. Luckily, it's Power Wash Simulator, so I'll do it if I'm just bored. And then the last thing I played was today. I managed to get an hour in of Mario RPG for Switch.
Okay.
Which
mine comes tomorrow, so
I mean, there's not a ton to say. Like, it is that game. I got to the part where we beat Croco, so we're back in the town. Okay. We have to face Mac next. But it just looks great. It's mainly the same. I like they do these little things where like the boss fights where like the camera angle is a little different when it starts. The music is good. It's the music. It's weird because like the original music is so like in my head at all times. This sounds 98% the same, but it's a little bit different where it clearly seems like it was like it was remade.
Is it like a more like orchestral version of the music, or like
kind of? They had some other like sounds and stuff to it too, where like it's the same song, but it sounds different, and my brain just doesn't like it yet. I'll get used to it as it goes, but my brain is like ingrained to the original. It's super good. I mean, it's just I can't wait to keep playing more. They've done little quality of life stuff here and there, like you can just warp back to the map from anywhere. Thank God.
That's nice.
So you don't have to run out of places. The weird thing they did was it autosaves every time you leave a screen. But there's still save boxes.
Okay.
They even make like a joke in the game or like talk about like, isn't it cool? It saves all the time. And you could do it the old way if you want. And they show you like the save box, but it's like, you don't really
That's
have
weird.
to. It literally autosaves every screen. Which is just
that's weird.
Strange, but okay. I mean, I'll probably plow through this game. I mean, I've played this game probably a dozen times before. But
I think it's very long either. Isn't it like 10, 12 hours?
If you just play through it, you could probably do it in like 7 or 8 if you just go through it. But this game does have enough like little tiny hidden things on the side to do. Obviously, like the QLEX battle is a big thing you have to kind of work your way towards. I haven't read too much about it just because I know what the game is. I would assume they put like the hidden casino and stuff in it too, so I'll have to do that.
I would. I don't think they would cut anything.
I don't think they would cut. Right? Well, if you follow the weird production of this game, where it turns out it's made by the guys who made like Dragon Quest Builders and like other stuff like that for Switch. It's not made by Square or Nintendo. It's made by, I think it's called like Arte Piazza or something.
That's interesting.
But Nintendo like purposely hid that from people.
Why?
I don't know. There's a good article. There's a good article on IGN today about how like weirdly obstructed the developer of this game is. Weird. Like, Nintendo didn't want you to know. But
that's very
the thing is no one cares. Yeah. You're telling me guys who made pretty fun Dragon Quest games made this? Fine. It's a remake. Port. Yeah, it's not. It's not a port, but you know what I mean. Like it's not like a new game. This is a Mario RPG 2. So that's a little strange.
Let me ask that. Do you think putting this out now, obviously we're in the end of the Switch, we'll be getting whatever the successor is next year. Do you think this reignites interest in making a Mario RPG 2? Like actually
I would hope. Because like we all know that like this eventually became Paper Mario 64, which is a great game. And then obviously 1,000 Year Door remake is coming. Nintendo knows damn well that like there is a market for like the Mario RPG stuff, and they'll never give up on
put out a Mario RPG 2 and sell.
The thing is like the Paper Mario thing has morphed so much into its own thing.
It has,
that there is room for another RPG set in, not necessarily this universe, but like this game where like Malo and Gino could come back. Like that would blow people's mind. I would be all over it. Yeah. Along with like the 1,000 Year Door like remaster, I'm getting that too. Like so,
I forgot that's
but like I want that too. Like they're different enough RPGs from each other that I think so, because this is the closest thing this game is like a Final Fantasy like Super Nintendo game.
Yeah,
it's the closest thing that this is obviously not on that scale, but has such elements of that, like the timing attacks and stuff in this are. Obviously had Paper Mario, but like they work better in this too, because like you can build the chain for that little like extra bonus gauge. Like far, the little bonus gauge thing so far is kind of pointless because all it does is a randomized thing. Because I only have Toad for it. I guess it changes later, but I mean I love this. The only other weird thing is like why is it not called Legend of the Seven Stars anymore? Why did they take that off? I didn't think about that. Yeah,
we're just calling it Super Mario RPG. I guess.
I get it, but. That's like, why? Huh? Like you don't have to take that off.
People today though know what it is.
Yeah, but it's fun because like I played it for an hour and my son watched me play it. Okay, and I was like, I had to tell him like I played this.
It's a very good 30 years ago RPG. Yeah, for a kid of his age, like, hey, try this.
It's a little
maybe.
It is a little tough out of the gate. Okay. But I'm pretty sure this one I skipped past it pretty quick. But Matt, you probably saw it. It has like a beginner mode, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There's like two modes. There's like the normal mode, and I think they called it the breezy mode.
Something like that.
Breezy mode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you're not paying attention early on, like you could die pretty quick. Like things hit things hit you hard enough, like out of the gate, where it's like, damn, okay, but
that ain't like a modern game.
Yeah.
That's Dark Souls or something.
That's old Final Fantasy stuff too, man. Final Fantasy 4 would kick your ass. But yeah, it's fantastic. Like I'm super happy it's out. I'll play. This will probably be one of those games where like I play it every year or so now, just because I have it. Yeah. The other like major bummer is Japanese copies got an instruction manual and we did.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Dang, that does suck.
Huh. What about you, Matt? What have you been playing?
So I did get my copy of Super Mario RPG, and I did plug it in for a little while today. I'm like right behind you, honestly, Dan. Like I just ran into Mallow.
Mm-hmm.
So we just like are now about to mess with the croc. So I'm not too far behind you.
Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah. Again, I feel the same way you do. Like I've been enjoying what I played of it so far. I really like the first one. I'm super ecstatic this one came out. So I mean, I'll probably end up breezing into it honestly, I think I might just like game on it this whole weekend if I get free
That's
time.
probably what I'm doing this weekend, to be fair. Yeah.
Because I really do like it. Like I just the moment Mallow came on my screen, I got like super excited.
Yeah, he gets a cool little like cutscene.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was like super ecstatic to see him. I'm very proud of myself. I was able to blaze through Spider-Man 2 and Super Mario Wonders. So woohoo to me.
Wow.
Look at that.
So you finished both.
Yeah, I pulled them both out. I'll talk on Spider-Man. You guys talked about a good bit about it last week. I will say I did thoroughly enjoy it. I honestly think I enjoyed Miles' his story more than Peter.
Okay.
The only fight scene that really just irked me was the one with Scream. I felt like
it's just too long.
It's way too long.
So long.
Like,
she has like 4 health bars, I think, and it keeps
why are we
going.
Doing this? Like, this makes no sense. Like, constantly battling.
It's an interesting like oh shit moment for people who don't know that's like a thing that could happen or like it has happened.
Yeah,
it could have just been that first fight in the street, and that would have been enough.
That would have been fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, I just felt like it was too long, too necessary. I think out of all the fights, I enjoyed the final fight with Venom the most. I thought that was really well done. I do think I enjoyed more of the Miles story more than Peter's arc in this one.
Well, and that's how I came out of it. Like, I feel like I enjoyed Miles and learned even more about him in this game than his own game from a couple years ago. And not that like Peter's story is bad or whatever, but we've kind of seen that story before in a different
versions of it.
Yeah,
versions of it, multiple ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So I felt like, of course, Peter got more of the highlight in this one. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I think I think the ending of it was great. I look forward. So I really hope they're put out like kind of how they did Miles Morales Spider-Man on this one, because I would be okay with that. I don't necessarily need a Spider-Man 3 right out the box because I know Wolverine is coming out.
I'll take it anyway.
Yeah,
but I'll definitely take a secondary Miles Morales story if they want
or something.
Like, something like that.
Well, we'll talk about the future of Spider-Man when we get to news, because they actually did release some information about that. But
I will say Mario Wonders actually picked up a whole lot the more I got into it. What really confuses me about that is the game itself has like hidden levels inside of each level, because the purpose of it is you're trying to gather these royal seeds to defeat Bowser out of the Flower Kingdom. And in each stage, you have to get Wonder Seeds that unlock more of the stage to get to the royal seed. So like most of the stages have at least 2 Wonder Seeds, 2 to 3, depending on how hard they are. But like, there's a couple of stages where you evolve into like different power-up suits.
Okay.
But they're not like real suits. Like one is kind of like this gel form where you can like attach to the ceiling and to the floor, and
yeah.
And it's a cool form, but the downfall is you can only play it in these specific hidden stages.
Okay.
Which kind of sucks because I think it could have done more outside. Like the power up suits they have they're okay. The flower one is always, there. The elephant one is kind of forced. I'm not too big on that. I see why they did it. I'm just not a huge it really doesn't do much of anything. He just at that point he becomes like a stronger Mario.
Sure.
Okay.
The one that I think they didn't utilize the most out of was the bubble power up suit.
Okay.
And in this one, like you can throw bubbles and they can they pretty much attack whatever they attach to and they turn it into coins. So if like you hit a Goomba with it, turns into a coin, you can grab it, But the bubbles can also act as like a step up, like a bounce point.
Oh, okay.
As well. I feel like they could have done more with that suit original, more with it, because I think it's actually, the more I got into it, the more I realized I was using it more because it's actually a lot more fun to utilize.
Okay.
It wasn't really that crazy challenging. There are like high difficult stages, but you don't have to necessarily play them if you don't feel like raging on your Switch. If you really don't want to get through the game.
Okay.
All in all, I think it was a good Mario game. I never really played the ones for this new Super Mario Bros. And all that. I didn't feel the need.
I played that I did play the Wii U version, and then I have the deluxe whatever they put out on the Switch. But I never played any of the ones for the Wii.
I played the Wii one. The one that came in the red case, remember?
Yeah. I didn't really play that. I didn't really play any. Be real with you, I just wasn't really. I played. Just wasn't really my thing. But this one was really good. And then afterwards, I told my son I played through it, and he was like, "Well, can I start playing it now?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, go, man. I don't mind." But yeah, it was a good game. It was a solid game, a solid Mario game. Spider-Man was fantastic. I'm really excited to get Super Mario RPG, and that's me in a nutshell.
All right. Well, we can move on to news. Speaking of Spider-Man, so it's a spoiler of the game, but it's been out long enough, and we spoiled the hell out of it last week. Insomniac has confirmed that Miles Morales will be the main Spider-Man moving forward.
Yay!
I still have to imagine, though, when you get to a Spider-Man 3 or whatever we call that game, Peter is in it and you play as him as well because of the way the story ends. And
they
the way
have to.
They have to.
They definitely set up the end of 2 for I'm taking a break. You can handle it now.
What it makes me think is that after Wolverine, I think maybe you do get a Miles Morales 2. Before you get a Spider-Man 3.
I don't know. Maybe we talked about this last time. It's like if he is the main one, if he is the goal of the what we're doing with Spider-Man 3, is it Miles Morales 2, just Spider-Man 3 at that point? If he's the main character,
then
we need to skip it. I think there's, or maybe you get maybe they switch it and go Spider-Man Peter Parker. And you know what a cool thing to do with that would do?
That'd be interesting.
Go back in time.
Oh, do a prequel.
How about we do Spider-Man Peter Parker and it's his origin story when he first became Spider-Man.
That'd be interesting.
And it's a short, condensed,
the Miles Morales game. Yeah.
His first run. If you want to kill Uncle Ben, fine. Who cares anymore? But him against pick a first villain that we could put in there. So it could be anybody. Who knows? But
it can be now. I mean, we're going back.
Lots of things. We could bring back somebody if we wanted to. Yeah. But maybe that's what you do. Maybe do Spider-Man Peter Parker is the sub one to flip it, and then Spider-Man 3 is it's Miles' game, and then at one point he goes, Peter's like, I guess I'm back for one more job, and then he comes back out when Norman becomes the Goblin, and the two of them have to stop like Norman and
I could also see it
Ock
being
at
like
the same time.
I can also see it being like a chunk of that game is Miles Morales only, and then a big part of it is you get to a point where it's like, okay, Peter has to come back.
Peter's out of town. He's out doing stuff for the Foundation.
Yeah,
but then Norman and Ock are destroying everything, and Peter comes back, and I'm back for one last thing. And then the final fight of that game is you flipping back and forth between the two of them while you're fighting both of these bad guys at the same time. There's a way to do that, but I just think Miles Morales 2 is overload if Miles is going to be the main character from now on.
Yeah,
but flipping it the other way is an incredibly smart thing to do.
It would be.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
that is a good idea.
I would love that.
Think about that.
You could do that and have it just be against. I don't know. Pick two shitty villains: Hydro Man and
Hydro Man. There you go.
I mean, that could be anybody. I mean, we can't really do Chameleon because we just set up that. He wasn't known before. That would have been a good one to start with, but
yeah.
I mean, it could be anybody, but like that's the fun part. So let's do that. I approve of that. Science Skill delivered. Insomniac.
There you go.
Please make that. Well, the other thing about Spider-Man 3 is like that's at least 5 years away, right?
Easily 5 years away. Especially
if Wolverine's got to come out.
Well, the other thing too you have to remember is the team that's working on Wolverine is the team that did Miles Morales.
Right.
It's their like B team that's working on that. So you would think if that's the case, then what is the A team doing right now? Do you think they're really jumping on Spider-Man 3 right away?
I think at most they're talking about what that might look like.
Yeah, that's probably what
But they probably all earned a break considering
I would
Spider-Man 2
that's probably the conversations they'll be having after the holidays.
Yes. Spider-Man 2 is the fastest selling PS5 game ever, right? Isn't that what it was?
It is.
Yeah, they can
it's
take
fast
a break.
selling, and it's right now the 4th best selling game of the year. But that number will only climb. So
it'll jump in the next month and a half,
for sure. I threw this in here because I thought it was interesting. Puppet Combo, the people that made Murder House, some of those other games, have another one. This has actually been out on Steam for a while, called Christmas Massacre. Was denied release on both the Xbox Digital Store and Nintendo, but it is out today on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
That's weird because
I guess violent content, and like I don't know, Murder House is pretty violent, so I don't know why this game is where they draw the line, I guess. But I have not played Christmas Massacre. I want to. Now I want to.
I feel like I need to look into this.
Yeah. But it's been on Steam. I want to say it's been out on Steam for like a year now. So, but yeah, it's an odd thing. Like Nintendo, I understand. Nintendo.
I don't know. Nintendo has very lax policies on what they'll allow on
Microsoft is the weird one to me.
Microsoft's a little strange. The other thing I don't understand is it's a PS1 retro style game. How bad could it possibly be?
How bad could it be? You know, and like I already have some of their other games. Like I have Murder House on Xbox. I have that Nun Massacre game. I have which is Christmas Massacre with a nun. And then I have that Blood Wash game. Those are all pretty fucked up. So like I don't understand why this is where they drew the line. I guess a Santa killing people is a little too much, I guess. So it actually made me look at it go, maybe I will buy it on the PlayStation.
Not Manhunt, though. Manhunt's fine.
Manhunt's fine. I thought this was humorous. After 5 years, the Epic Game Store is still not profitable.
I mean,
after all those deals that they've signed and all that, what is the percentage ratio? Isn't it like 80-20 or something absurd?
They did their damnedest to get games on there and stuff, but you know,
all the free games
that comes at a cost.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily think it'll go anyway.
It can't go away because it's the Fortnite launcher.
It's a money machine. Yeah, it doesn't maybe the Epic Game Store itself doesn't make money, but that one game they launch out of it sure does.
Yeah. Which I didn't even put that in the news, but I guess that's a thing. I'll mention it briefly because I don't think any of us are real huge Fortnite players here, but they are like age locking certain like costumes and unlockables in that game now, and that's pissed a bunch of people off.
It's a strange
So, like,
move.
for example, they just put out, I think, a costume pack and unlockable stuff for Invincible, which is like pretty, as someone who's watching that right now, pretty R-rated cartoon at times. Like, it is horrifically violent when there is violence on the show, but they've age-locked that content, which is weird because, like, when you look at the content they release, it's just costumes and stuff. Like, none of it's offensive. It's just Omni-Man and that other.
But does age lock mean that like I can't buy it and I can't see it, or can I see other people see it?
I don't know about that part because I don't play Fortnite, but it would lock you from buying it.
That's fine, but isn't it stupid if I could see people still using it?
I would assume, like, think about it. How are they going to be able to stop people from seeing that in that game? Like, that just seems like way too much work. So for like, oh no, the 12-year-old kid saw Omni-Man.
Are there that many people clamoring for Omni-Man? I thought they all wanted to be Mr. Beast and Cardi B and a giant Coke bottle or whatever the hell else is in there.
I don't know what's popular in Fortnite anymore.
Remember when that game was a survival game? You remember that?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the actual game portion that gives you achievements?
That was on
Fortnite saved the world.
Yeah. Do you remember when we were at GameStop?
It was a Game Informer.
And I should have bought the physical copy of it that goes for an insane amount of money.
We were idiots to not buy that. Yeah.
We had it on clearance at one point.
I know.
Like super cheap. Now it's like $300-$400. Like insane. I should have done it. I put this in here. The people that the indie developer that made Night in the Woods, which was pretty successful indie game. I never played it, but I
never did either. But it's incredibly popular.
They were working on a follow up called Revenant Hill. They have canceled that and they're walking away from game development.
Weird.
Just basically citing too many personal issues right now. So I thought that was interesting and weird. This another humorous story I threw in here because it's always funny when you see weird shit like this. There's a new the character Tintin. You know who that is, right?
Yeah, his video games are very popular in Europe.
Okay. There's a new one.
Super Nintendo Tintin games we never got.
Okay.
They were only ever in Europe.
The only one I remember was like a PS2 one.
It was
over
a PS2
here.
one we got. Okay. Yes.
Anyways, there's a new one for PS4 and PS5 that was revealed on launch day that it is unfinished by the developer, which just what a wild thing to reveal the day your game comes out. Like, hey, this shit's unfinished, but we put it out anyways. So crazy. Big bombshell announcement that I don't think anybody saw coming. Nintendo is going to work with Sony, of all people, Sony Pictures, to make a live-action Legend of Zelda movie.
Weird.
So you know what's crazy? My wife told me about this.
That's good.
I didn't even hear about it, and she was like, Did you see that video I just sent you?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "They're doing a Zelda live action," and I was like, "Man, I don't really see anybody."
Let's talk this out. Let's talk it out. So they make a Mario movie. They say it's animated. Fine, whatever. That movie can be whatever it wants. Nobody's really going to care. Fine. Yeah. A live action Zelda movie
means Link has to speak.
Is strange because he has to talk, which he does not talk. I don't think they could reasonably adapt any of the games.
I don't think they can either.
To tell that story in 2 hours, right?
No.
The smarter thing would have been to say, if they were going to adapt a game, is to announce it as a trilogy, and do you could do the Ocarina of Time thing as a trilogy because you could do up to the Temple of Time and Ganon, him as an adult. There's a way to stretch
the water
that.
temple and then
there's a way to stretch
I think could they still come out and say that's what they're doing? Sure, but
yeah.
I think this is what I told you when it got announced. I think it would have made more sense to make this a mini series on Netflix.
10 episodes.
10 episodes. Yeah. Give it time to breathe.
Right.
So rather than because to cram that, even if you do a trilogy, to cram that into 6 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe 7, 8 if we're stretching it.
Are we going to make it? Are we going to make it really story heavy? Because I don't think people are going to want a super story heavy Zelda game. They're going to want dungeons and you're going to probably have to at least put Goma in it because that's a standard for Zelda games where there's always the giant spider kind of a thing. And obviously Ganon, I just don't know what kind of story it's going to have to be original. And I worry about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Zelda, as much as you look at it at first go, that sounds great on paper. I don't think it lends itself to a movie as well as something like Mario does, because you can kind of go whatever direction for an animated Mario movie, which they did, obviously, and it was fine. This live action, even animated, I think it would be challenging.
Sure.
Well, didn't we have an animated cartoon of Zelda back in the day?
Yeah, you did, but it was a TV show. The other thing about this is I worry about casting. Like you and I were texting, joking about like who they're going to cast and stuff.
We have been all week,
but I almost don't want Link to be an adult, right? Wouldn't it be a better movie, a better Zelda movie if he were 14 and Zelda were 14 and Ganon was like a guy in his 40s who came to like try to take over, and then you get
that makes more sense.
You get the kid versus adult Ganon kind of a thing. I think that's a better thing. But I told you, or we joked about it, like the worry is that it's just Tom Holland is Link, Zendaya is Zelda, and whoever the hell they want to be is Ganon. And it's just
it's Willem Dafoe.
Just pick the big name of the
Spider-Man
of the time. Whoever you want to be Ganon.
Yeah.
John Cena is Ganon. You know what I mean? Like it could be something dumb. But I almost think the movie works better if it's not someone super popular. Like Timothy Chalamet is Link. Wow, great. Bold.
The sad thing about you saying this,
he's on a list.
I could totally see that, and I guarantee you he's on some short list somewhere for it.
I would, if I had to bet money on any one person being Zelda, Zendaya is top of the list
for Zelda. And
she's
exactly
she's super top of the list. It's just Dune, but it's fucking Zelda. But it's just like that's what I worry about when you tell me it's going to be a live action thing, is that your biggest worry is going to be, let's get big names to be these three people. These three people have to be recognizable. We've got to sell this movie based on Zendaya being in it. No, you don't. It's a Zelda movie. It's already sold.
It could be anyone.
It wouldn't matter. It could be anyone. And that's
the thing but how they're not going to realize that.
No.
No. I think the crazier thing out of all this is that they're working with Sony Pictures.
Well,
what a weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, that part is and it isn't, because, the Sony movie side is so far removed from the game side that it's almost like it's not even the same fucking place. I don't know. Will I see it day one no matter what? Of course.
Everybody will.
Everyone will.
Well, let me ask this question. Being a Sony pictured movie, will this movie be better than Sony's Spider-Man universe movies?
What if I told you it's part of it?
There you go. You mean I'm going to see Madam Web show up?
Tom Hardy Venom shows up.
There you go.
And he's in one of the spider temple.
What if I told you Tom Hardy is Ganon?
Okay, you know what? Actually,
you're into that. Okay.
Okay.
That I could
see it. I could see it.
He has to talk like Bane, though, right? Like let's just make.
I'm into that. Like okay, I could do it. I could do it.
But Ganon needs to be like a big dude who's imposing, right? And that's why I think
he's a big dude who's fucking imposing.
But that's why I think it's important that Link is a teenager at the oldest, because you need to have that display of like, he is in trouble fighting this man. If he's just an adult with a sword, with the most powerful sword in the kingdom, fighting Ganon, okay, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So because the whole point of like Ocarina of Time is, you fight Ganon as a kid and Ganondorf as an adult. Yeah. Or no, sorry, other way around. But
Ganondorf and Ganon, but I know what you mean.
Like Ganon turns into a giant beast at the end of Ocarina of Time. So it'll
be interesting to watch the news develop
the news cycle. It's gonna be what 3-4 years before we even sniff.
I don't
this
think
movie?
you see that movie until at earliest. I would say like 2027 would be my guess. There's a lot that's gonna have to go into that. So not just casting. So, but hey, I mean, the strikes are over, so
we can finally move forward on some stuff. Yeah.
There's that. So, I threw this in here next. Sony has committed to launch just 6 of its original 12 announced live service games. Again, not all those were announced by name, but they're already scaling that plan back. So,
but they love it. Tells you that's what they want. It's all live service.
Well, we're going to continue the trend with live service. Suicide Squad. It's funny because I just text, I think you and another buddy about it like a day before this happened. Suicide Squad is still on track, has a release date of February 2nd next year.
Sure.
It is still on track to launch despite being a live service game, and Warner Brothers has doubled down now on it being a live service game. So they are obviously, we talked about it the last time anybody talked about Suicide Squad was when they had their kind of disastrous, that last February, They had that disastrous reveal where everybody kind of pushed back on it.
Well, that's
they
when
had a date.
The shot came out. Like, is there a battle pass in this? And it's like, yeah, it definitely is.
And they kind of like just went underground for months, and they're coming back up. Like, and again, we said it then. Like, there is in no way a situation where they will remove that stuff from this game. It's too embedded into what they've made for almost a decade now.
That's how they plan to make money off of what is becoming an increasingly more expensive game to produce. Every day that this is still in production just costs them more money. So it's Battle Pass has to exist. And the cool thing about Battle Passes is you don't have to buy them. Don't buy them.
In continuing with Warner Brothers and live service, the Wonder Woman game, which we have not heard about in 2 years, had some job listings go up, also suggesting that the game will have live service elements. Now, it is important to note earlier, or like a little bit before we started recording, actually, Warner Brothers has come out and denied that. So they've actually come out and said that is not the case for Wonder Woman. We'll see when that game comes out. My question I would pose is, do you think we see that at the Game Awards again this year?
Wonder Woman?
Long enough, right? Wonder Woman. It's been like 2 or 3 Game Awards since we saw it. It was a Game Awards announcement.
It was.
And I want to say it was before these systems were out. That's how long it's been.
Maybe. I don't know.
You would think there's got to be something to show on it, right? Like, I don't think... Here's what I'd say. I don't think showing footage of that game in any way is going to impact Suicide Squad at this point.
No, not at all.
It's not going to stop the people that care about Suicide Squad from playing that game, but it's also not going to detract people from playing that game either, I don't think, because it's a completely different thing. So it's also weird that game kind of now exists in this world where, like, all that shit's changing. Like, we're probably not getting a Wonder Woman 3 with Gal Gadot at this point.
No.
Yeah.
But we got to have this, like, this game has to come out because it's probably way too far in development. So, I don't know. A Wonder Woman game, again, I'm super for a Wonder Woman game. I think it potentially could be an awesome thing. But it's a weird world to put that game out now without some sort of movie or something to kind of, hype it up.
Or just when, like, the only other game coming out anywhere around the time of it is the Suicide Squad game. That's like relatable to it. Like, it's not like it's coming out within a year or two of a Batman game. We haven't had a Batman game in forever.
We're not going to get one for a while.
Right. So
you got Gotham Knights, and that didn't set the world on fire. So a Batman game where he's dead. That's what you got. I'm going to throw this in here because for whatever reason, I forgot to put the biggest news story of everything in here, which is it is official. The beginning at some point of next month, we will get a trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh, yes.
And for whatever reason, it slipped my mind. I didn't put it in here because it literally was announced via a Rockstar tweet.
Yeah, I love it.
They're them just saying, hey, we're ready to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6. So there's been a lot of scuttle, like, will it be at the Game Awards? Will they do it? I don't know, because Rockstar, they can do whatever they want with that game.
They can announce that game however they want to announce it, whenever.
They can do what they did with with the last one, which is just throw a trailer on Twitter and be done with it, which I feel like is what they're probably going to do.
Game Awards,
they'll break the internet.
That's true, but like a Game Awards is a good place to put that because you have that many people eyes on it already.
You do.
So why not? And I'm sure,
right?
Like you said, it could release at any time. It really doesn't matter. But if it releases during Game Awards, it's the talk of the Game Awards. Nobody's going to give a shit who won. Nobody's going to give a shit about
any other game that's
any
announced
other trailer that's unless there's some other bonkers trailer you never thought you'd ever see.
I don't think
GTA is number one.
Yeah,
like
it is.
So you can immediately become the talk of that show, the talk of the weekend, and then the talk of video games for however long it takes to release that game, because it's going to take at least a year, you would think, right?
I don't think. Well, here's what I'll say. I don't think there's any kind of date other than you get a 2024.
I think you could.
They're ramping it up.
That's the most you'll get. That's the most you'll get. But they are historically awful with times.
They've delayed. I think the last two GTA 4 and 5 have been delayed. Yeah,
I have multiple different Rockstar promotional items, including like work T-shirts and everything.
1?
Yes, that were sent to
April
us
17th.
Yeah, that were sent to us as employees of GameStop and Game Crazy, even I think too, where the dates are just wrong. Like everything has been moved.
The famous Red Dead polo that has the April 17th.
I have it.
Yeah,
I have that.
It's a great one.
All the LA Noire marketing was wrong.
Yeah.
Didn't GTA 5 got moved too, didn't it?
Yes, very slightly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. They're always like maybe a month
off,
at
2
most.
months off.
It's never anything huge, but I'll say right now, like whenever they put out the trailer, be it Game Awards, their own thing, it's only going to say 2024.
Right.
They're not going to commit to a date.
You got to think though too, like if there's a game that might not hit its release date, it's probably Grand Theft Auto 6, right?
Oh yeah.
I think if they do what I think they're going to do, that's a holiday title next year. So
I think the point of it will be the campaign will release.
Yeah.
In next holiday.
Well, remember when GTA 5 originally came out,
you didn't have
that online thing. Yeah, they delayed that by like a month, I believe. Mm-hmm. So you just had the campaign. I think that'll be the same thing here.
Well, and that's a game where they can do that because they already have a functioning online game running on its own, which can continue to run. So they don't need to push out a GTA 6 multiplayer if it's not ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Which it won't, even the day it's ready, it won't work for the first week anyway. So it doesn't fucking matter.
Like, 5 was I don't know, man. Show. Putting that on the Game Awards, like that almost crushes any other announcement.
Well, that's why you do it as the end. Yeah. You do it at the end. Fuck you.
I almost think if I were Rockstar and I wanted to capitalize, I would just do the announcement the day after the Game Awards.
You could
myself. I think it's just really.
But I can see them. I can see them pulling like a Final Fantasy thing from last year. Remember when Jeff was like, and coming from Final Fantasy, DoorDash is going to give you some pizza, and he fucking swerved everybody. And then later on the night, it's like, oh, we got one more thing, by the way.
I think if they only thing that makes me
loves to have a knockout fucking punch at these things,
and I think if it is there, the reason I think so is because remember years and years ago, one of those Game Awards they did like all that GTA stuff like after there was like the music of GTA. It was the one where it was like a 6-hour stream where
he has a good relationship.
All right, we need to rein in, so.
Go for it.
It's very likely.
Go for it. I wanted to close the show and him just be like, and there's one more thing, and then it's fucking 5 minutes in GTA 6.
All you need to do is just scream into the mic at GTA 6 and then drop the mic. That's it. Like that's the end of your show. Next, we'll talk about, speaking of the Game Awards, we'll talk about the nominees. We got an email in about it. Vic from Standale, Michigan. Hey guys, what are your opinions overall on the Game of the Year nominees for Game Awards? It really seems like Starfield got snubbed. Starfield is not in the Game of the Year. Here's where I first of all, I'll say at the end of the day, the Game Awards, the actual awards don't matter.
No,
it doesn't matter. Nobody really cares.
Mostly popularity contest stuff. Yes,
it is a popularity contest, and it's mostly about just what is being announced. Mm-hmm. That being said, looking at the nominees, I do think, and the one thing I would change, and I think it is not a good idea in my opinion, Resident Evil 4 remake should not be on this list.
Does not need to be there.
Yeah,
it's a remake of an existing game.
It does not need to be there.
Sure.
I don't think any game that's a remake of, even if it's a different game, by all accounts, Resident Evil 4 remake is a different game.
Next year, and we all love it. I don't think Super Mario RPG should be on that list.
No.
It's a remake.
No.
I agree. It's not that I dislike Resident Evil 4, even though it's my least favorite Resident Evil. It shouldn't be on the list because it already has one Game of the Year when it came out, 15, almost 20 years ago.
GameCube game.
Exactly. Come on. So I just, whatever. But at the end of the day, when it comes to these awards, I don't really ever care that much about the awards. However, I would be very interested. I will tell you right now, Baldur's Gate 3 will sweep it all.
It will destroy everything.
I would love to see Alan Wake upset that, but I don't think it'll happen.
I think the only game that has a chance to upset it is Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So,
Spider-Man 2, should it be on there? Sure. Mario Brothers Wonder is another game too where I get why it's there. But is anyone expecting that to win Game of the Year?
No. I can forgive that more than Resident Evil 4. Yeah. I just read that. Are you kidding me, man?
Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win that. Game direction, probably Baldur's Gate 3 again.
It's probably all going to be Baldur's Gate 3. And
probably Baldur's Gate 3.
Fine.
That game came out of nowhere and hit everybody over the head. I've still not played it yet. I desperately want to.
We're gonna talk about Baldur's Gate 3 a little bit more here in a minute.
Yeah, but like best art direction is like a category it's shockingly not in. Shocking. Anybody could win that. It's probably any category that Baldur's Gate 3 isn't in that Zelda is in, Zelda will win. Like, let's just be honest.
But again, at the end of the day, like anybody tuning in for this is for the announcements. That's what it always is.
Sure. I would like to see best performance go to that guy from Final Fantasy 16 because he was actually super good.
You know what? Run that category.
That's all right. So it's Ben Starr from Final Fantasy 16. So Clive, he was actually super good in that game.
He's really good. Yeah.
The guy from Star Wars, which he's great, but
Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah, I like him a lot as an actor. Here's someone who could win. Here's someone who could win. This Idris Elba could win.
Ooh, I would like to see him come out on stage at this thing. So.
Melanie Liburd from Alan Wake 2. I assume that's your main character.
I think that's Saga Anderson. Okay.
Neil Newborn from Baldur's Gate 3. Is that Astarion? Is that the guy everybody's like in love with?
So.
So
I think
he'll probably win.
Probably.
And then Yuri from Spider-Man 2, which he won't win. Like Spider-Man 2, I don't think will win much.
But I don't. I don't think so either. There's just honestly, there's a lot of good games this year. So
the other problem I have with the Game Awards too is just like as a whole, there are far too many like esports. Best esports coach. Okay,
that just seems looking at that.
Okay,
that is like that is one of those situations though where it's going to be like, hey, world premiere. Okay, I'm gonna read off these 4 categories.
That's fine.
Get your award. That's cool. World premiere. Like that's what'll happen.
Is that necessary? Like I just don't get it.
Not anymore. I don't think esports is what it was a couple years ago.
I think very specific parts of it are. But I feel like we used to hear about it a lot more just in like normal gaming stuff. We talked about like League of Legends stuff and all this other kind of stuff.
Overwatch League, which is
Overwatch League. It was just like all this stuff you would hear about it constantly. I feel like you don't even hear about it anymore. So it's such a niche group of stuff. But you're right. It will be like those ones where it's like, by the way, we give out 7 awards and here's the names on the screen to my left and he won't even know who won. There are some other good like categories built like you know, packed in the middle. So So here, best action game is a weird category though because it's Armored Core 6, Dead Island 2, Ghost Runner 2, Hi-Fi Rush, and Remnant 2. Like what a mixture of a category.
Remnant 2 is not an action game.
Like, but then there's also action adventure game, which is not action adventure, it's just adventure.
I would like to see Hi-Fi Rush win that.
Hi-Fi Rush, I feel like that could win.
I need to go back and just play that.
What, best RPG, Baldur's Gate 3, not even a question. Best fighting game's a weird one because Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 made it on this list, and that just came out.
Okay. And then they got to have what? Mortal Kombat
1, which it better Street Fighter 6, God of Rock, and Pocket Bravery. Like, not big enough names to win.
I think it's between Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter.
Yeah.
For sure.
What was the other one I thought was an interesting one? Oh, most anticipated. Here we go. Here's a good one.
Okay.
Because this is all over the place.
All right.
Although I'll read the one that's going to win last because you know it. So Hades 2, that won't win.
No.
Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. It's cool to see that on this list.
I love that it's on there.
It
on there. It won't win.
Star Wars Outlaws.
Got delayed.
Potentially. I mean, I'm interested in that, and I don't like Star Wars.
That's
Tekken 8, which looks better by every day.
Not gonna win,
but the winner is Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth.
Oh, absolutely!
If that's in the category, please.
It's gonna win.
Oh, but here's the last one because I know what's gonna win, but you could argue another one. Best adaptation. So all
right,
Castlevania Nocturne.
Oh, okay.
Gran Turismo.
Okay.
The Mario movie.
Okay.
Twisted Metal. Or what's going to win?
Is it that League of Legends cartoon?
The Last of Us. It's me. It's me, Ellie.
No, I've like literally pulled that out of my mind. So.
I got to kill all these doctors to save you, Ellie.
Oh God, I still have not gone back and watched the last 2 episodes of that because I know what happens. So like I played the game, so that's the reason. Every once in a while we load up HBO.
I have with like these awards as a whole too is like it's predictable. Like I can.
That's predictable as hell. I didn't even think about that
because it boils down to a popularity contest. It's not what actually might win. Because like, did you see the controversy behind the best indie game one?
No.
So best indie game, one of the nominations is Dave the Diver. I haven't played it. It looks awesome though. I do want to play that game.
I've heard of it.
Do you know? So the company that makes it, do you know who owns that company?
No.
Tencent.
Ooh.
Is that an indie game?
Okay. Not really.
Tencent owns them?
Yeah. No. Not really.
It's $1 billion.
I can see that
company.
I could see that upsetting people. So
it's just a weird I don't know if that should be considered an indie game because it's in the same thing as like Cocoon and Dredge and Sea of Stars and Viewfinder, and like some of those games had to like crowdfund to get support.
Yeah, and then you get this game,
and then you have one that's the company that made it is owned by Tencent.
That's pretty. Oof. Oh boy,
Game Award.
It's what, December 7th,
December 8th.
Yes.
Oh no, 7th. You're right.
Okay,
it's 7th. Yeah.
Yeah, I always look forward to watching it, and I'm there for the reveals. Like,
yeah,
I'm excited to see who's going to crash the stage this year and tell me, his favorite rabbi is. And
I forgot about that guy.
Does Kojima come out and talk about
Death Stranding 2?
Death Stranding 2.
Yes.
Is that there?
Yes.
It's got to be, right?
Yes. I want it.
How long does Jeff bow to him for? Over, under 2.5 minutes.
Easily. I think you get a solid 3.
Yeah.
Solid 3 minutes.
Between the applause and Jeff just standing there in awe. This man he's met dozens of times. And
dozens of times at this point. Yeah. Dozens of times at this point. Let's move it over to your favorite news story of the week.
Ooh.
I will let you break it down.
This is my absolute favorite.
YouTuber The Completionists Open Hand Foundation accused of keeping charitable donations. I will let you go through it.
This was a bombshell thing. Like, it's so crazy. It is. So 2 different guys, Carl Jobst, who's great. If you've ever watched any of his stuff about like speed runs and stuff, he's awesome. Okay. Like, he breaks down stuff. He actually puts in work to his videos and stuff. He basically he found out through public accessible tax filings, because all charity tax filings have to be publicly accessible. His charity, which has operated as a charity since 2014, has existed since before that, has not donated any of the $600,000 they've received in donations over the past decade. It's all just sitting. It's just sitting there, not donated. And there's something to be said about, well, we haven't found the right part. One of the arguments is we haven't found the right people to donate this money to, which is fine because you have to vet a lot of that stuff because charities are shit, and you want to know where the money's going to make sure it's actually making a difference. That would be important if they hadn't already said that they were donating it to multiple places, and they never have. We have a partnership with this university, and we have a quote on our website from the dean of this university, who was fired 7 years before that.
Oh,
that's not good. So he does these streams. He's like indie game focused streams every year where like indie developers come on and stuff, Indie Land. And he will say like, we're raising all this money. All the money goes to these people. It's in memory of my mom because she had this and all this stuff. It's going nowhere. None of his money's going anywhere at all. He's sitting on it. Now, the important, like a lot of people are thinking, well, like he's scamming it. He's taking the money off the top. It's collecting interest. It's a charity, so that's not how it works. He can't just take the money. He can't, he can't, like, it's not collecting interest. It's sitting there. But what they can do is they can use the charity to pay expenses for things. And they don't have to itemize what those things are. Now, in most normal things, it would be, we use charity money to put on the benefit to raise more money. So spend money to make money kind of thing. That makes sense to me. If that's how it's working to like fund the stream, because streams are hard to set up, especially when you're doing something like that. To make
one of the things that's been floated as a possibility is that some of that money has gone to fund like the purchase of all those Wii U shop games and stuff that
his studio, since that thing other things like that, paying people to work on other things. It's like using donations from people to pay that, and especially if the charity's paying for it, he's not paying taxes on that stuff.
Oh no!
So the real damning evidence of this is like he's on the board of directors. But arguably, he's a busy person, and he does a lot of stuff. And being on the board doesn't necessarily mean you're aware of everything that happens at the place all the time. I mean, that's not reasonable. But his brother is, like, in charge of it. So they confronted him the guys who did this research, they confronted him about this, and he admitted that as of 2021, he knew that the money hadn't been donated and was going nowhere, and then continued to host streams asking people for money.
That's the damning.
Saying that, yes, we donated to these couple places. Bro, what the fuck? Like, that's bad. Like,
that's the worst part of it.
At best, what is going on here is like scummy, and he's just a shit person because he's lying to people to get donations. At worst, we're talking like federal crimes.
Exactly.
Like, and like it proves that, like, you know, you could go down the list of other people, but like it proves that a lot of YouTubers out there, especially the ones asking for your money, ain't worth your time, and they ain't worth your money. Dude, you want to donate to a charity? Just go to GameStop quick, because they have proven they just fucking give all that money to Doctors Without Borders or Prevent Cancer Foundation. I've donated.
It's a big thing
because I watch the people from Doctors Without Borders come on there and basically tell everybody, like, thank you so much. Like, that's also a more meaningful.
It's a
charity.
Huge thing.
Like,
it is.
But like, it is wild, and he has gone essentially radio silent, which is probably the smart move at this point. But he didn't lock down his social media stuff. Probably should have locked it down, dude, because people are running wild
just
on his Twitter.
Memeing it. Like, it's absurd.
I love it. It's great. I think the memes are fucking hilarious. I told you my favorite one today was somebody just tweeted at him, hey, review this game next, and it's that Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion game. Awesome. Like,
it's a good one.
This is a hell of a hole. And
it's a bad one. Yeah.
The thing is like people are like, well, if they were doing something illegal, the IRS would have caught it. The IRS doesn't sit there looking for reasons to come get you.
No.
They're not actively monitoring everybody's filings for all this kind of stuff. Because I got bad news. If they were, every one of us would be audited every other year because we fucked something up. But this is now out there. This is all like super public. Multiple people going off on it.
Coming now.
Someone's coming for you now. I've seen a couple things on like Reddit too, which, you know, how valid is this? Because it's people on Reddit. But there's people that are like, I work with charities, or like my wife is an auditor for certain things. And, you know, I looked at it, she looked at it, and she said it's real bad. Yeah. Because it's going nowhere. I think there's even like a rule where you have to donate a certain amount. It's like 5%. It's something low. Okay. But like it has to go somewhere. But to lie to say that it's going places, it's not going there. To admit that you knew for years that it was not going anywhere, and that you were going to look into it.
Almost 2 years, yeah.
And then
more than 2 years.
And then from that point on, continue to do it.
Need to lie. Yeah.
Wow.
Bad.
Is this the end of his career? Probably not. There's enough simps out there where he won't go away. It's just going to be one of those low points, like your buddy Pro Jared went through, where turns out he had a whole like dick pic trading collective on Tumblr.
That one. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you remember him. The whole stuff of like him and his girlfriend / wife and their relationship. A lot of that ended up being like bullshit from on both of their parts. But it still doesn't like change the fact that like he was out there asking for people for nude pics and sending people nude pics. And some of these people are probably minors. Let's be fair.
Yeah. Some of them are.
It takes a lot to tank your reputation. I think the only thing that really ever tanks you is like when you are proven to have been fucking around with minors. That's like the number one thing that'll tank. Like that guy from Achievement Hunter, where it's just like, oh man,
yeah, that's
that
over.
thing exploded, and and that was the thing where too, where like everybody worked with him was like, that dude's a fucking monster. It's like, that'll get you canceled when the people you work with. But nobody's commented on this completionist thing. They haven't said anything. Although the funny thing, did you see what happened today?
No.
So the guy who made the video, Carl Jobst, he got like a strike on the video saying like take it down and all this kind of stuff. And normally when YouTube does that, you're going to lose. But he emailed them back and he said, this is all public record. These are all facts. You can watch the whole thing if you want. He's on the video. Like it's here. And then YouTube was actually like, you know what? You're right. Video stays up.
That's good. That's a good.
And apparently the only people that can really like file like a legit strike are the people who it is about. You know what I mean? Like, so it had to be him or his brother or something, or someone pretending to be them, which is that possible? Sure it is. But,
Absolutely.
But for YouTube to be like, nah, yeah, you're right. That's huge.
That's a win. That's
a huge. I saw people call it rare YouTube W. I mean, it is.
Yeah, they never ever back down on their shit. No.
But I mean, he's right. This is all stuff you could go look up right now on your own if you want to, and it's him admitting to it in a phone call with them.
How did he stumble into it though? Like, so he had been tipped off. Like, he didn't just one day wake up and go, I should look into this dude's
I don't know.
text.
This guy, he looks into a lot of stuff and he does videos on a lot of different kinds of stuff. You should go check out his shit. It's really good.
I'll look into it.
So it's just one of those things where this could have been a possible situation.
He could have, it just could have been like,
I got nothing else to do.
Well, he looked at, because I think
this looks weird.
He looked at like 5 years of tax filings for them, and it's just like that money keeps going up every time and it's not going anywhere.
Okay.
It's over $600,000. People were talking like, this is the kind of thing where, this is his retirement fund, because at the end he just shuts down. The company, the charity dissolves and the money disappears and no one looks at it. Or the whole thing is a scam by his brother and he got caught in the wake and he's fucked.
Yeah.
Because if he's board of directors, even if he didn't know anything about it,
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Nice job.
I love it. It's fucking hilarious. Like, to make like,
yeah,
that's crazy.
It is.
Don't be a dipshit and get in trouble. It's as simple as that. The last thing about it. Sorry, I thought it was funny that IGN commented on it pretty much immediately, like within a couple hours, like 7 hours, 8 hours.
Yeah.
GameSpot, nothing, because guess what? He's buds with them.
Yeah.
So why would the gaming journalists at GameSpot talk about how their buddy fucked up? They ignore it. It's like, oh, that seems a little shitty on GameSpot's
Not really.
side.
Yeah, it is. Dragon Age 4 released sometime in 2024. Apparently, it sounds like we might actually get a Game Awards announcement for it.
Whatever.
Sure. Again, I'll remind, this game has to come out so that they can really begin work on Mass Effect 5 or whatever we're calling that.
But which Dragon Age am I getting? Am I getting Dragon Age 1? Am I getting Dragon Age 2 or Dragon Age 3? Because they're all different games.
We've never seen footage of this game in action. We've only seen like concept art, remember.
So what game style am I getting? They're all different games.
Maybe this will be the Game Awards when we find out what Dragon Age is it. Like, what if it's something completely different again?
Oh my god!
What if it's its own thing? I don't know. I'm so far removed from Dragon Age at this point. It's been a decade since the last one.
Yeah,
definitely. That for me, it's a dead franchise.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
I don't know.
Mass Effect is trending that way as it is too.
It is like they put out that thing where like they was on N7 Day where it like pretty much confirms like it's going to be the return of Shepard. That's what it looks like. I didn't put it in the news because it's not a big deal.
Can we stop celebrating N7 Day until there's a fucking point to it? How about that?
I agree with that. Like, but then the reveal of also like it might not be another 6 years before we get this Mass Effect game. Well, let's just stop talking about it.
Then it isn't a game.
There's nothing to discuss. Yeah, exactly.
It's stupid.
Let's dig into the Baldur's Gate news. So Baldur's Gate 3 got its physical edition announcement for both PS5 and Series X. It is 3 discs on Xbox and only 2 on PlayStation for some reason.
Too many, but okay.
It's too many. I love it. I don't give a shit. Like, it's $80. You can only buy it, I believe, directly through them, right?
Yes,
it's not.
It's on their website only. It's $80. For those wondering, shipping is $20. So it is $100.
It's $100
to buy this.
It's awesome as hell.
Fair, you do get a lot of cool stuff with it.
You get a lot of stuff with it.
Yeah, and if they haven't sold out already, they're gonna. Doesn't come out till next year.
Yeah, so the game. Here's the thing: the game will be out digitally for the Xbox by the end of the year. It is. They are going to have an announcement of that at the Game Awards. The hot rumor is that it will be shadow dropped that day. Makes sense. It probably will be shadow dropped that day on the Xbox, but it could also be coming to Game Pass. Which,
that's a huge.
As we've seen, you got to look at it a couple ways. Number one, game's already been out for a while on other platforms. Mm-hmm. Number two, Phil Spencer stepped in to get this game to come out sooner. He basically told
and fix that, like, knock it the fuck situation. Off, get it released,
like get it out. So I could totally see at this point they cut some sort of deal where it's like, look, that company's already made way more money than they ever anticipated on this game. they could have easily cut a check to put this on Game Pass.
I could see it also being like, it's on Game Pass for a month.
Yeah.
Just be like, you know what? We're sorry.
Like a GTA style
We're sorry it took so long to come out on Xbox. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it to Game Pass members for a month. And then after that.
Till the end of January or something like that.
Sure. And then just be like, if after that point, if you want to keep playing it, which you do, you can buy it.
You can buy it. You get the Game Pass discount or whatever.
And it's a lot easier because even though this physical edition exists, it is a digital game. Like, it's a lot easier to like sell people on just like, now just buy it. So
it is.
That's a smart play because that'll lead to sales. That makes sense. If you let people play that game for a month, it will lead to sales.
So it is also important to note that physical edition, like, that's all on disc. It's not a download disc like a lot of stuff we've seen currently with physical games.
Hence why it's 3 discs. But they also specifically came out and said that, like, we are doing this as a matter of game preservation.
Yeah.
Like, that is partially why this exists.
Yeah.
Which, it's cool. It's $100 to get it shipped. And I'm just like,
I know. I was on the fence on it, and like I'm just gonna get it digitally because I want to play it.
I still think my plan is to get the
Black Friday
Play Asia version of it, which is physical, and just order it at the same time I order something else and get free shipping on those 2 games from Asia.
Not a bad idea
because it'll work over here just fine. So
yeah, not a bad idea. Speaking of Embracer Group, they've had a couple hits today. They've confirmed more than 900 staff layoffs so far. They've warned of more to come. Obviously, this is all the results of that major deal they had with Saudi that fell through. What was that, like a $2 billion? It was some sort of deal. Yeah. So they're shuttering studios. They're shuttering, they're canceling projects. One of which came out later today, and I didn't realize Embracer Group was a part of this. Like, for whatever reason, that just escaped me at its announcement. The Knights of the Old Republic remake is dead. That was part of this. So
it's been dead for a long time, to be fair.
But it's been dead for a long. Yeah, like, to be fair, like, it's been dead for a long time. But it's like that's a pretty big hit regardless, because people are excited about that. So the idea of that, but yeah, it's been a rough year for the games industry. You're seeing a lot of these projects and stuff come out, and then that's kind of the cycle, though.
Yeah,
if you watch it, like, stuff comes out,
doesn't do well, people get fired, studios shutter, another one pops up, people move on to something else, people are shuffled. We'll try to find a place for them. It's just.
Yeah,
it's never been a great industry to actively work in. Like,
I learned at a very young age. It's not an industry I wanted to get into after because again, you remember when you were a kid, you're like, oh, maybe I'll do this or that with video games.
I have friends that do it, but they have moved multiple times, worked for multiple different companies. He moved overseas at one point for a couple years, moved back here, and then he didn't lost his job, but like his job was done at that point. He moved on to some other place. His wife works for a different company. She has to travel. Like, it's just like they have been all over the place. He's been lucky that like Chicago is an area that has a decent amount of studios, but he's worked for multiples that don't exist anymore. So it's part of the way it is. He got out before they closed, but it's
but yeah, so it's been a weird, it's I would say it's a weird, but it's been a year for that kind of stuff in the games industry. So another shocker I put in here, Redfall has gotten a 3rd patch with a promise of further updates throughout 2024, including like new characters. This update patch they just put a new weapon into the game for free, which is interesting. So like I said, I haven't gone back to it since I played it on that stream, but it is something that's on my radar to play now, and I enjoyed what I did play of it. So,
do you think it ever hits like Sea of Thieves status?
I don't think so, because it's Sea of Thieves. I think the draw for that game
fun to start. Like, we had a lot of fun when we played.
It was, but the draw for that game is that cooperative experience of being a pirate.
Right.
That's a lot easier to sell than this is very much a contained story. Like, you can go play Sea of Thieves for hours upon hours and kind of make your own fun in that world.
Which is
that's
what
not
we
Redfall.
did.
Yeah, that's not Redfall.
Well, I'm talking about it from a standpoint of we played Sea of Thieves when it was out, loved it, but quickly realized there was nothing to it. And we kind of bounced off. And we thought maybe that game would die, but like it's just as popular. It's more popular now. Right?
It is. And what they say, like 6 million concurrent players.
Well, they keep up. Well, because they keep adding stuff. They keep updating it for free. Like it's a.
I mean, hey, I don't think you're ever going to see that other rare Everwild game or whatever at this point because they just keep making Sea of Thieves stuff. But yeah, I mean, remember, the thing about Sea of Thieves, I remember when it came out, it was just like this is a really cool idea, but there's no direction to it right now.
Yeah.
And that was why we bounced off.
We had so many thoughts of like, it really needs this and it really needs that and it really needs.
And I'm sure it has
something else.
Now.
I'm sure it's got to have at least a lot of what we were talking about at the time.
Exactly. But Redfall, it's a different type of game. You play your probably 20, 30, 40 hours of that story and you're done with it.
Yeah.
So, but I do think like it could garner more attention if they put stuff into it and they promote it a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the last news item of today.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Something we've joked about for a while is actually true and happening. It was leaked. What was it? It was leaked, I think, yesterday.
Yeah.
And then even further evidence was leaked today, like pretty much showing the existence of this. And then Sony came out and just said, hey, here it is. And I'm pretty sure this was a Game Awards trailer and whatever. The Last of Us Part 2.
Like they're still going to.
Yeah. The Last of Us Part 2 remaster is real. It is coming out January 19th, so pretty soon. I will say the one positive thing about this is that if you already own it digitally, it is just a $10 upgrade.
I think you can have a physical copy too.
Okay.
For $10?
I'm pretty sure I read something.
Oh, you can put the disc in and
you can upgrade. Okay. You can do the PS5 upgrade to digital.
Kind of like they did. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
How the policy they had for years and then dumped.
Okay. Well, they had to. That was a Jim Ryan thing, right?
Of course, it probably was. Of course it was.
Updates for time. They have added a new like roguelite survival mode, I guess. They've obviously they have all the impulse trigger stuff with the DualSense. Again, I mean that's all great.
It's all Neil's vision.
But I would tell you, wanted. It's all Neil's vision. What I would tell you is like you can only polish a turd so much.
Hey,
that's what I would tell you. So I don't know. I still have a major disdain for that.
Where is my multiplayer game? Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Whoops.
Yeah. I read that at first when I read this, I saw survival mode and I got excited because I was like, holy shit, are they doing that multiplayer? Because that would actually garner me to pay the $10.
The other crazy part too is like, no, this game came out on PS4 in 2020. It got a 60 frames patch for PS5 in 21.
It does. Yeah.
So what is this?
You can play with your DualSense and it has the impulse triggers.
Fucking Christ, dude.
They've updated the visuals a little bit, so it looks a little more crisp, I guess.
Sure.
You too.
Speedrun. You have not played it. Wow.
You too can play it and be disappointed at the ending, like I was. I don't know.
I'm just so far gone on this game too. It's like I don't know if I ever want to play it.
We have talked about it so much at length that I think you probably are just like checked out of it because
part of me knows. Part of me knows I should. I love the first one. The first one is an incredible game.
To one of our friends who is Mr. PlayStation at this point, and he even agrees like it's not a very good like story wise. Like it's a disappointing thing where like we said when it was announced back in like 2015. I said when they announced, like, I don't think Last of Us needs a part 2. I think it was a great self-contained story. It proved me, So
I still think the first one ended shitty, but it didn't need to continue. And
it didn't need to continue.
Well, I think we even talked about it at the time. Was like, if you're going to continue it with new people. Like
that's fine.
The world has.
I mean, in a way, a good chunk of that game.
But the world has been taken over by this. There are millions of stories you could tell about
millions of others people. Yeah,
and no, we got to go back to this again because we got to watch Joel die, right? We have to.
Hey man, game 1 was about love and game 2 is about hate.
It's just
but they couldn't make good on that promise at the end of the game.
Man.
So
Just
That scene still messes me up.
it's just all Neil.
we won't. It's all, hey man. Well, hey, I mean, I can even mention it here because I think you and I have talked about it a little bit. Like, obviously, like the big casting rumors who's going to play Abby in season 2 of Last of Us, the TV show, and like you and I very well know the actress that is rumored to play Abby
I like her.
from other shows we've seen in the past, and like I think that actress is great. I think she's like for her age, really good actress. She is not this character at all. Not at all. She, like, you look at Abby, you're expecting these big muscular, even if this girl goes and hits the fucking gym for a year, she's never going to look like that character.
Yeah.
She's not exactly. So, and one of the things I read is she originally tried out for the role of Ellie, which that would make sense. I could see her play Ellie.
Looks like
exactly
her.
right.
Yeah.
But like to flip that around and be like, oh, she should play Abby. No. Like, will she do good in the role? Yeah. I hope she makes it her own because she ain't going to.
Well,
she isn't going to remind me of her from the game.
You hope she makes it Neil's vision, is what you mean.
And that's what I joked with my other friend today. I said, how much you want to bet they just fall back on the time-old excuse of, well, this is going after Neil's original
What Neil
vision.
really wanted. Yeah.
This is what he really wanted. Yeah, because they love to use that excuse.
Yeah.
So, but we could be done talking about Last of Us. I could go off about that all day. Do you want to briefly, before we get into emails, talk this movie stuff?
Yeah, I'll just say,
Since
like,
you had...
so, movie reviews and stuff, and we've been talking about it, and I hadn't seen any the last couple times, but since then I've actually done what many would seem impossible, and I've gone to see 2 different movies in the theaters on 2 different days, 2 back-to-back days. So the first one I went to was people who listen to this, and you guys know that I'm a Digimon fan, and I got something, I was scrolling on Facebook or whatever, and it came out, it's like, hey, we're going to do one of these Fathom events where we're going to put the new Digimon movie in theaters. Like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, the last time I saw a Digimon movie in theaters would be the first one back when that came out, how many ever years ago. So I was talking to a buddy of mine about it. He's like, yeah, I'll go see it too. The downside so there were 2 days of this movie, and one of them was dubbed and one was subbed. And I would prefer subbed just because I prefer to watch things in like the original language that it should be, and I prefer to play
in that
games
case,
in that
yeah,
way.
Because otherwise, the mouth isn't going to match the words.
Sure, but then again, I've watched all the Digimon I could in English, and I've watched it again in Japanese. So whatever, it's not that big a deal. So I was forced to see dubbed because I had I had another commitment to the Marvels the next day, which we'll talk about too. I was pleasantly surprised with the dub. I'll get that out of the way because they got a lot of people. So this, for those that don't know, this is one that these are the characters from the 2nd season of the original show, which in Japan is called Adventure 02. It's like a Digimon Adventure 02. Okay. They got most of the original English voice cast back. Crazy. Because cool. Like this takes place, years later. I think it's like probably 15 to 20 years later. I forget exactly what it was. But that was insane to me. So immediately it makes it tolerable, though, because these are voices I already associate with these people. So that's fine. The movie is a weird, like, what's going on in the present day, and it does this thing like it goes back in the past about the first person that ever had a Digimon partner, and it turns out that he was actually responsible for everyone else getting their partners too. So this is like the true beginning of this version of Digimon, which is an interesting concept to see, and they actually do it well enough to the point where it actually makes sense in terms of all of the story you've ever known. This does fit. Yeah. It does fit. It's fine. That being said, this movie has incredibly dark tones to it, to the point where I would classify 25% of this movie as a fucking horror movie. Okay. And like, I'm not even joking. It's so fucking weird. They go back in time because the whole point is this new character shows up. His name's Louis, and there's this giant egg floating above like the Tokyo Tower, which is a giant Digi egg, and nobody knows what's going on because Digimon are a thing in the real world now in this universe. Like they just exist, and it's a normal thing to see and experience. But this giant egg exists, it shows up, and they're like, "Oh, that's weird, whatever," and everybody just kind of goes on with their day because it's not doing anything. The flashback to when this new Louis kid is a kid. He's 4, and you see him walking down the street with his mom, and then you see like Ty and Kari run by and the other things. So you're like, oh, that's cool. That's like they cross paths. He gets home with his mom, and he immediately runs into this other room where like his dad is hooked up like a life support machine, and he's like clearly like in a coma or something at home, and he's just telling his dad like, hey dad, we did this today, whatever. The mom fucking loses her shit. She comes in there, she grabs him, she fucking shakes him, screams in his face. And like you could tell, obviously she's not handling this situation correctly. Yeah. But she eventually tells him like, go sit on it's his birthday. It's this kid's fucking birthday. So she tells him like, go sit on the couch and watch TV until dinner's ready. I'm going to make your favorite dinner. Okay, fine. Goes and watches TV. She goes, hey, dinner's ready. And she looks over at him and he kind of sits there and then he looks embarrassed. And then it turns out that like he peed himself. Again, he's 4. Okay. She loses her shit. Strips him down to like underwear and like a tank top, at which point you now see bruises all over this kid's body. He's 4.
Was this rated?
It's a Digimon movie. I don't even think it was technically rated. I think it's not rated. And I'm sitting there with my buddy, I'm going, what the fuck is happening right now? She locks him outside in the cold while it's snowing, almost naked. And I'm this is like trigger warning level shit for me as a father of 2 young children. Yeah. I am getting fucking angry at a Digimon movie for what has happened. And then it turns off at like it sets off this whole thing in motion where like the thing shows up and the thing about this Digimon that's his is it grants wishes. And he just wishes that like he had friends and he wishes like people understood him and all this and immediately like mom changes. She's perfectly fine, normal. Dad fucking wakes up out of the coma. His life's great. All this other stuff. And his birthday's on leap year, which is important to note because like 4 years later, the thing comes back and it's like, I'm working really hard to make you these friends, but I couldn't really find some. So I just brought people from like the building. And he's like, I don't care. My life's fucking great now. He's 8. He thinks everything's amazing. And then like 4 years later, Digimon become real because this thing basically like partnered them up with people. And it's like destroying the city. And he like loses his mind and he starts to get angry at him. And his parents, it turns out this thing has been like puppeteering his parents, like with these like tentacles and shit. And it gets even darker. Like the screen goes red. He ends up losing his eye at one point because he gets so angry he breaks something. The thing rips out its eye and puts it in his head. So now he has like a Digimon eye in his head.
This is a body horror.
And he basically it's so fucking crazy. Right. And then he basically tells the thing to fuck off, and it cries to the point where like it melts and disappears. And then his parents drop dead.
What?
And I'm looking at my friend going, what in the hell am I watching?
It reminds me like the one game, the story based one was kind of
Survive, like it is like Digimon lately has taken a turn where like it's clearly catering more towards like the people who would have been fans of it years ago who are now in their 30s or whatever.
But it
is just wild. I was looking at my buddy. I said, I can't let my kids watch this.
No,
this is insane.
This is wild.
Speaking of, now I want to watch this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you could. It's weird. It's just the tone takes you out of it so much. And there's actually not a lot of Digimon like fighting and action stuff in it. It is definitely meant to be more of like a story about how this kind of stuff is. So weird. Overall, I'd say, I mean, it is what it is. I liked it enough, but I don't know if I would ever watch it again. I was so triggered during that part. It was awful. So there's that. If you like Digimon, maybe you feel obligated to watch it. You don't have to. And then I went and saw Marvels the next day where
tell me about the Marvels.
So as an MCU person, I'm obligated to see all of it, right? I finished watching Loki. Loki, the TV show, great. And it's fantastic. I'm not quite sure where it's going from here, but there's a lot of ways it could go. The Marvels is pretty self-contained in terms of like what is going on in the universe, and it doesn't really touch too much other MCU stuff other than like Nick Fury's in it and a whole bunch of other stuff. It definly fits the mold of like, it has the shortest runtime. It keeps going, keeps setting the pace, keeps moving. It looks pretty good. Like a lot of, especially like having seen Ant-Man looked terrible. And that was,
I was going to go back to the one I always go back to is Thor with that kid in the hologram. Remember the kid in the hologram talking? It's like one of the worst CG things they've ever done. This looks a lot better.
So. And they're doing a lot of stuff like in space, and the majority of this movie is their powers are tied together, so they're constantly switching places. That's the best part of the movie. Is the movie is really well done when it's like the three of them just kind of like hanging out, talking, and like trying to get to know each other and trying to work this shit out. Other set pieces of the movie are like they have to go to this one planet to try to stop her, and they fail. And they go to this other planet to try to stop the villain, and they fail. And it's just like that. Those aren't that great.
I assume the villain is probably underdeveloped.
Yes, you are meant to somewhat remember that this person could have been around in the first of the events of the first Captain Marvel movie. That's about it.
Okay.
She seemed. I don't remember her being there. She seems like she was inserted afterwards. And
so does it? Because I mean, I've watched a lot about this.
Yeah, fire
from
away.
What I've seen, is it a big portion of this movie something that Captain Marvel has done to her planet, but that was never shown on film anywhere, right?
And so at the end of the first one, she destroys that big computer that like runs these people's lives. It basically tells people like, "Go live your lives. You're free now." Well, apparently doing that set off this catastrophic chain of events which somehow fucking killed their son. Like that, it doesn't make sense. Like their son's dead. They have no water. They have no air, and their planet just sucks. These are people capable of space travel that could leave. They choose not to. But she chooses to find artifacts that will help her essentially open portals to other planets to steal the resources back that she needs. And she does this specifically to get back at Captain Marvel because Captain Marvel destroyed the planet. To the point where like the climax is, spoilers, is they come to like steal our son at the end.
Yeah, okay.
And they try to do the thing where they tell her like, well, there's another way to do this. We can figure it out. We don't have to kill a whole bunch of people to save your people. And she goes, "No, I'm going to do it." And it all ties into the bracelet that Kamala got in her TV series. There's a twin, and the woman finds a twin. She can open these portals to the universe to do this kind of stuff. But if you have both, it can be even bigger, right? Well, she eventually gets a hold of both. Doesn't end well for her, and she doesn't steal the son. And I'll go ahead and spoil the credit scene because Kyle, you already watched it. Matt, do you care?
It's on YouTube.
Have you seen it?
It was. I saw it. Okay. I saw it the day it came out. I woke up early and it was on there.
I saw that it was out. Whatever. You told me it was out. I avoided it like the plague because I knew I was going to go see it. I'm like, all right, let's just see it. So at the end of the movie, basically, Spectrum has to go close the seal because she didn't open a hole to another place in space. It's in another universe. Haha, because we're doing that still. And she has to shut it from the other side. Okay, fine.
And she gets stuck in it.
She gets stuck in it. And then she wakes up in the hospital and you're like, what is this? And then it looks like her mom is sitting next to her. Her mom is dead. And she says, Mom, you're here. I can't believe you're here. And the woman's like, what are you talking about? I'm not your mom. And then your buddy walks in and you see his blue hand. And I'm like, oh, God, it's Beast. And then you hear him talk. And I said, no fucking way. Get the fuck out of here. And then he gets over, he turns around. It's just Kelsey Grammer is Beast again. Get the fuck out of here. How did they do what? Like, that's a cool thing to do. Like, I really hope, this is other universe, so they don't have to. The other people don't have to be the other people. It can be restarted. That's fine. But like,
I would hope so.
Huge. Like, that's so funny.
It's huge, but like, I told my girlfriend too, because like I told her what it was. She chuckled at it, and I told her, I said, but the thing is, like, at this point, that's a whole separate movie franchise. Like, I would rather they just start anew with a new X-Men team with new actors.
I think that's what the point is, though. So I think that like Kelsey Grammer being Beast is kind of like a haha, this is fun kind of a thing.
Do you also think it maybe ties into Deadpool?
Could be. I think Deadpool, especially being the next one, is going to be the one that like finally says, fuck it. And everything is one thing. Anybody can be anybody.
That's what I think.
It doesn't matter anymore. And like, we'll live from a pre-Deadpool universe and a post-Deadpool universe where
that's what I think
everything will finally be pulled together, which is fine. And again, like him being Beast doesn't mean he has to go out on the mission with the team in the next one. He could stay back.
No.
So that's
I don't think Kelsey Grammer is going to do that.
It's a good way to bring in X-Men and like make it a funny thing. And maybe Deadpool merges the universes and that's how it is. Who knows?
Okay. That's what I think will happen.
I mean, overall, I thought the movie was pretty good. It's not a bad one. Like, there have been worse.
How packed was the theater?
It was about the same amount as Digimon had.
Okay. How big was Digimon?
30 something.
You actually had some people in there? Okay.
Yeah, there were a lot more people in there than I thought. I got a cool pack of cards from that movie, too.
Oh, hell yeah.
I would say Marvel's too. Marvel's, whatever the hell it is it's not a bad one. Of like all the ones that have come out kind of since the Endgame ended, it's right in the middle.
Do you think they continue with? Obviously, they'll probably continue with Miss Marvel, but do you think you see Captain Marvel again in a big capacity like this as her own movie?
Done. I think she's done.
Think she's done?
Miss Marvel is set up to continue very hard at the end of this.
Okay.
You think they'll do like another like season of that TV show with her?
They set up Young Avengers at the end of this.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Like I've already spoiled like the post credits thing, so I'll spoil this too. But like the end credits thing is, she tells Carol like, I've got an idea of something, and you see they cut to this like building. You see a shadow person come in, and they throw a dog a slice of pizza, and I'm like, oh shit.
Okay.
And it's Kate Bishop, and she's just in the movie. And
was it actually her?
Yes. Okay. It's incredible.
Haley
it's really cool.
That's cool.
So she comes in and and Kamala's sitting there. She's like, I'm putting together a team. And it's basically like, but she also name drops fine. Ant-Man's daughter Stature. So like there's 3 right there.
Okay.
You could do Ironheart if you wanted to. I think the big pull that people really want, and I don't know why you want this, is they want the kid from Iron Man 3. Because he's technically a person too. He's an Iron Lad. But if you're going to do Ironheart, you don't need him to. But there are enough like young kids they could pull in to do this. So I think that is Kamala's path forward is this
Young Avengers
and
movie.
She is easily the best character in the Marvels movie because you get to see her going from like,
well, she has more of a backstory because she had her own like 6-episode TV
her family's
show.
In the
Monica
movie.
Rambeau, she was at the tail end of WandaVision, and that was it. I don't think she was.
There was a lot of her story stuff in WandaVision though. About like she was blipped and she came back and her mama died while she was gone.
Yeah. I'm starting to remember.
But if they're going to push her into the X-Men thing, that's a way to like keep the X-Men thing going because she's in there. Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan was the best part of the movie. Like her family is in this movie heavily. It's just like they kind of get brought along for the ride. So it is really her movie. And she's the best like
of the 3.
She's the most. She's the person you like the most. She starts off as just like, I'm fangirling about Captain Marvel. I love Captain Marvel so much. And then like she meets her and like lives with her for a little bit. And, like they actually become friends. And like there's a progression of story and like what it means to be a superhero and all that kind of shit. So, and then at the end of it, she's still herself. She's still excited to be a superhero. Yeah. So she's the most fun aspect of the movie. I'd put it. Yeah, it's a 7. I don't know. It's not bad.
Better than Quantumania.
Quantumania was not good in retrospect. Thor: Love and Thunder is not good.
Thor: Love and Thunder is terrible.
Yeah, so like it's better than those. So for a movie that easily could have been bad.
Considering how, like, from what I've read, how butchered it was in terms of like
reshoots and everything.
They did a lot of reshoots. They did a lot of shuffling around. I mean, that movie was delayed. Again, COVID did play into some of its delay for sure. Everything, but like that movie was delayed a lot.
Yeah, so I would say if you're an MCU person, there's been worse. There's been worse lately. If you're someone who watches all of it, you're going to watch it all anyway. You're not going to be upset that you watched it. And then I did watch. Matt, I always put this on there because I'm pretty sure you watched it too. That Hidden Strike movie.
I did.
With Jackie Chan and John Cena. It's fine. It's nothing real. I couldn't really even tell you what exactly the plot was. They're stealing water or oil. Oil, right?
I'm assuming it is a more enjoyable movie than the other one you put on.
Yeah. Well, this one is a Chinese movie. Like obviously Jackie Chan's in it. John Cena's big in China. He doesn't say
it's kind of like that Stallone prison one. I can't think of the name of it.
Skyscraper, which was the Rock movie.
Yeah, that was very heavily.
Yeah, it's a Chinese movie. Like,
I mean, it's a solid. If you watch the Jackie Chan
is 69 years old.
Movie, it's solid, man.
Jackie Chan is 69 years old. He is incredible in this movie. Still.
Speaking of, the next time we talk, I just bought that movie Ride on with him. I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah, I gotta watch that
this weekend.
Yeah, the only downside to this movie, John Cena does not say Bing chilling once. So
that's fun.
There's an opportunity. He could have said it at one point. Did not say Bing chilling. So, well, because it's also like a weird like John Cena and Jackie Chan in Baghdad movie. It's strange.
That's a weird
CG in it is not good.
Yeah,
but like the practical stuff is fine. And then the only other, just quickly, I watched Expendables 4. Why? I don't know. That movie fucking sucks. I love the first one. The second one's fine. The third one is bad. This one is bad. Real bad.
Yeah.
Fourth
do you know what happens in this? You seen 4, Matt?
I have not seen it, but I am aware.
Can I just tell you what it is?
I'm aware that do they not kill Stallone only to have him come back later in the movie?
Yeah, he dies in the first mission.
Because originally it was written for him to be killed out of it because they were having all that like behind the scenes fuckery. And then they made good on it and decided, we'll bring me back at the end.
He is killed in the first mission of the movie, and like the rest of the movie is like a revenge thing for him. Okay. And then he shows up at the end to save Jason Statham from dying. And he's just like, hey, man, I faked my death. You're like, cool.
That's bad.
It's
wow. Can you tell me, is Megan Fox's performance better here than Mortal Kombat?
Yes, but that doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Randy Couture is probably the best guy in the movie.
I've heard it has some extremely terrible CG.
Yeah, there's really bad CG.
Where things look out of place at times.
Yeah, they do. The action stuff is good enough. Tony Jaa's in it. It's cool to watch him flip and shove knives in people's faces. Like, that's cool.
Okay.
It's just like, I don't know why this movie exists.
No, it's the last one was what, a decade ago? Mm-hmm. It just seems like such a weird thing too, now.
Like, Dolph Lundgren is super old, and that becomes the joke. 50 Cent shows up. You want to know something fucked in this movie? 50 Cent shows up as like another guy on the crew. It's like, hey man, what's up? I'm here. I'm whoever. I don't even fucking know his name. At one point, at the end, the climax of this movie is on like a boat, like a giant tanker boat. To distract them, they fucking play Into Club on a boombox. So it's okay. Does he exist in this universe?
Now you're selling me on the movie.
No, I'm not. But it's like, does 50 Cent also exist in this universe and he just happened to look like him? Or did you sing this song and record it so that you could use it as a distraction in a boombox?
Fuck, could you?
I hate when movies do that.
Does he mention his crystal skull in this movie?
God, you know what? I blacked out a lot during this movie, so he could have.
If he did, I would watch it. Okay.
They should have just made a 50 Cent Blood on the Sand.
Blood on the Sand. Damn. There you go.
Yeah, man. It's good.
That movie sucks.
I will tell you, I got some big ones sitting here that I'm gonna watch next week. Like I got Oppenheimer to watch.
Oh, that's
finally.
right. Yeah.
I got that movie. I don't know if you remember this movie came out a couple months ago. The Creator, which a lot of people gave high marks to because it's supposed to be spectacular, like special effects on a budget much less than a lot of movies. So I have that. Those two I'm probably going to bang out next week. The only thing I wanted to bring up, because I know we talked about it before you came on, Matt. I know you've seen it too. The trailer for this Imaginary movie.
Weird.
Which looks fucking great.
That's Blumhouse, man. Like, they just make the weirdest shit now, and it's all pretty decent.
The thing is, like, when they show in the trailer, like, from the people that made, like, and every single one of those movies they showed was a hit. Mm-hmm. So, like, you think about Megan, anything that they've put out, even against all odds, The Exorcist, which, well, they're not going to make the money back for the rights of it. If you look at the box office numbers, that movie cost $30 million to make. They made $130 million.
Make another one. Wrap it up.
They announced today they are going to go ahead and make Deceiver, but they're probably not making that third one. So you're getting a sequel.
Depends on how well the second one does, right?
Exactly. But this Imaginary movie, it looks great. It looks wild. It looks like it has a mix of a lot of different horror movie like elements. It definitely looks like they're pulling a lot from Poltergeist, like some dimensional shit.
Weird, a lot of weird stuff in the trailer.
Like the way the little teddy bear
moves and shit.
It moves and shit. Yeah, like obviously the off-putting thing, and I'm sure it's worse being a parent. I'm not a parent, but is having the girl like harm herself with the thing. Like, that's fucked up.
Did not like that part at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I was just like, what's this little girl do? Oh no. Like, that was my reaction. Yeah. Like, no. I don't know why in like the last it seems like in the last year that's been the trend in horror movies is like we've broken down that barrier of like we can
Harming
show
kids.
child harm. Yeah, right. Like that's I guess that's the last
I don't know, man.
I don't.
thing.
After Hereditary, that really screwed me.
I don't.
After the Dan will never watch Hereditary.
I know what
I've
it
said
is.
many times.
I know what it is.
Do not.
I cannot.
So,
It
but
makes
that
me,
I will still go on record.
it makes me physically uncomfortable to see that shit.
And I was like, ooh.
Hereditary, and I've said many times, like horror movies do not. That is the only horror movie I've ever watched that has bothered me. But I rewatched it immediately because I made my girlfriend watch it after I watched it. But like that movie, like same thing. I went in blind. I didn't know anything. I just knew it was a huge hit when it came out in the theater, and I was like, all right, I look forward to watching it. No idea what it was about, what was going on. Insane movie. So, but yeah, it's one of the only horror movies where like it stuck with me after where I'm like, this is kind of fucked up. So most of the time, like afterwards, I don't think about it, but that one was crazy. So, but Imaginary looks pretty cool. So, but yeah, next time I'll be able to talk about Oppenheimer and I want to watch The Creator. So, but other than that, the only thing I've been watching is King of the Hill. So, I'm rewatching King of the Hill again. So,
Superstore for me.
There you go, Superstar. That came out. It's like I use the at night when I go to bed, I use the channel thing that's on Peacock, and I usually fall asleep watching whatever channel they put Roseanne on there. And one of the nights, it just ended up flipping over to Superstore. It was like the very first episode. And like I haven't watched like the early seasons of Superstore since that show started.
Good, man.
It's a great show. It's like The Office, though, where it's like that first season of that show was like really like I remember with like Dan, we were both watching it when it started because it was like it's like I laugh, but it's weird. And then it took off in its second season.
Well, it's just as people who worked retail, like these aren't exact situations we've experienced, but these are like heightened versions of stuff I have dealt with. So so that's why it's a great show. Drawn to that show.
Such a
great show that had like a way better than I would have ever expected ending. So they could have really botched that, and like it was a great ending. So
when I had heard that the finale season was like the fact that America Ferrera or whatever her name is bounced out, I was like, how are they going to end this whole season? Like, it really doesn't make any sense to me. And then the way that it actually played out was like super fantastic.
Well, they also
really shocked.
They also were able to like do COVID stuff and make light of that situation in a way that I don't think a lot of shows really could. From a retail perspective. Which I thought was good.
Absolutely adored that whole season. I just clicked it on because I needed background noise. But man, it has me rolling still. I'm like,
there's some stuff that's really funny. For me, it was just the guy that voiced Dale recently passed from the King of the Hill, which like is questionable. Like, what are they going to do for this sequel, show whenever that comes out? But I was like, I could go for some King of the Hill. So I'm just rewatching that now. So let's go ahead and kick over to emails. First email we got here, Grant from Edgewater, Florida. Hey dudes, was curious if you think with Super Mario RPG coming out this week that the price of this Super Nintendo cart will plummet, or will it still be a highly priced retro game? Thanks.
You would hope so, but it won't.
I think people are still going to want it.
Well, because the thing about
still keep that
collecting now is it's not even necessary to play this stuff anymore. It's to have
Agreed. You might see the price on it slip a little bit, like maybe $10-20 bucks. But
sometimes the opposite is true, though. Sometimes it makes people be like, "Oh, they remade it. I remember playing that as a kid. I should go buy it."
Yeah,
like that would happen.
That happen before,
and again, it's more about like having a physical copy in your collection as opposed to necessarily playing it. So it's tough. If it'll probably stay about the same. I mean, Earthbound wasn't on anything for a very long time, right? And then they put it on was it on the Wii U? They put it on Wii U at one point.
I want to say it was Wii U,
and then they put it on the Classic and all this other stuff, and it's at least as expensive as it was at that time. It's more about like how many copies actually still exist.
Exactly.
I wish retro gaming would crash, but
I do too. It will eventually.
We're not
at some
there yet.
point,
Yeah.
but we're not there.
Yeah.
COVID hurt it, and we're still feeling those effects 4 years later.
Yeah.
Gary from Indianapolis, Indiana says, "Hey guys, I was curious with stores like Walmart and Best Buy phasing out physical media. Do you think we will see this done in mass next spring? I was at my local Target over the weekend, and their physical media section is extremely sad. It really seems like they are also doing away with it." I don't remember if Target was on those lists or not, but when I went 2 weekends ago, and I was out scrambling trying to find a copy of RoboCop before they ended up shipping my copy of that game, I went into the Target over by me, and I was kind of floored of like how dead that whole section is. They don't
Target's been slowly getting rid of all of their physical. They've been doing it quietly.
Yeah.
Okay. The only new recent release game I saw was Super Mario Wonder. Like if you go to the Xbox stuff, they barely had any Xbox games. It was all sports.
Mhm.
They didn't even have Starfield, which again, you just get Game Pass.
Right.
PlayStation stuff was extremely limited. I think the newest thing I saw was God of War. Like it seemed out of place. Like I walked into a section that has stood there for like a year without anything being updated.
Yeah,
is what it felt like. So it was really weird. So I mean, again, it really seems like with other big. I mean, Walmart is a massive retailer, probably the biggest one I think to announce this outside of like Amazon or something. So for them to come out, Best Buy to come out, I think I agree. I don't know if it'll be next spring, but it seems like it's already happening.
Well,
so they're just kind of we're out on
so
that.
Best Buy so far they're only dumping movies, which I understand that.
I need to get in there.
Yeah, I understand that more than games right now. But Target, the last couple of Targets I've been to, I even went to one that I've never been to before, like a week ago, because I was out in the area and I had to stop at a Target. And they even had less than the ones by me, dude. And it's just, I don't know too many people going to Target to shop for video games. It's a weird thing because you feel like this is the opportunity GameStop should have been waiting for, right?
Yeah.
For other companies to be like, you know what, we're done. And GameStop should have pounced and gone all in. They should. They still can. They should pounce and go all in on being, we sell video games. You want video games? You come here to get video games. They should take everything in trade. They should sell everything. It should just be video games. And if it's a sports game, we'll give you 2 cents and we'll ship it to the warehouse. You know what I mean? Like even when we were there, I was talking to this about it, and a friend of ours who's an ex-employee 2 days ago about like Black Friday deals and stuff that's coming up where they're not good again. But it's the thing where why have they never capitalized on the fact that they are fucking GameStop?
Is it the same like everything's like $5 to $10 higher than everywhere else? Or
it's just like the right things aren't on sale, or it's all sports again, or it's great. Like Mirage is still 40, not cheap enough.
No, it needs to be 25.
But why did they never capitalize? Why did they allow other retailers to beat them at their own fucking game on Black Friday?
They should be
crazy.
The market leader for that category.
It shouldn't even be a question. It should be Best Buy's got it for 20, we have it for 30. Well, now it's 20 for us.
Yeah.
It is what it is. If we got to take a loss for 2 or 3 days on some new games, we're going to do it. Because the whole point is people should be coming in and buying accessories I make money on or other things. They never pushed. They never said, we are number one. Let's be number one. Fuck everybody else. And now they're at a point where Walmart's dumping Xbox. They'll keep PlayStation and Nintendo because that stuff just sells. It still will sell.
It does. I watched it happen last time I was in Walmart.
Xbox is just it's a digital system for better or worse now. People. And Best Buy dumping movies, they're not going to dump games yet. Best Buy's still my preferred place to get games because if I reserve it, I know they'll get it. I don't trust I don't trust Target. I don't even fucking trust Amazon anymore. But just today online,
after this Mario,
just today online, I saw all this Mario stuff where it's like we might get there Monday. Like, wow, what? Best Buy, if you reordered it, you walked into the store today and they said beep, and they gave it to you.
I went on Thursday and did it, and I get it. I'm getting it a day later, but still, the fact that I did it a day before it came out
I just walk in there and show him my phone, and the guy goes, "Oh, okay, cool." When he walks over and he grabs it, do you want a bag? No, here you go. That's how hard it is to pick up games now.
Yeah.
Why isn't GameStop like that? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I think it'll be a while before Best Buy finally they could probably do the same Walmart thing where there's like, we don't carry Xbox shit anymore. We just don't.
I think that'll be the first.
Systems and controllers, fine, but that's it.
I think the first thing that you're going to see is the dumping of Xbox specifically, because that's the way it's going with them.
Yep.
So Game Pass is what they care about. So, but I think eventually it'll get to the other. I think Nintendo is always going to be out there though, because it is Nintendo. I don't think you're ever going to truly see it.
As long as they're still dead set on making, especially like cartridges. As long as they're still dead set on making cartridges, they will still make cartridges. Like.
Well, I think even today, like even kids today are used to putting a Switch cartridge in that machine.
Yeah, my kids do it. No question.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and we had to purposely make those the Switch cartridges taste bad, so kids don't eat them. So what will do you think the new ones will taste worse?
Oh God,
is that gonna be a thing when that
something else to coat them in? Yeah. Oof.
There you go. Charlie from South Bend, Washington says, "Hey guys, do you think we will hear anything about the Silent Hill 2 remake at Game Awards, or do you think not hearing about this for over a year?" I don't know. It's been like about a year since they announced that, right?
It's one of these weird. It's a weird game where like every so often you hear like it's 80% done. We're pretty much ready, and then the next month they'll be like, "I don't know who said that. We're not anywhere close." I don't know. The information about this game is so back and forth and like misleading at times. I don't know what to believe.
Thing just came out that apparently is a disaster from what I've read. It's like it's like an interactive
weird,
game
like,
or something.
They had to shut off chat in that game.
Yeah. So
it's just could they talk about it again? I don't know. Like,
I think the only reason it would show up at a Game Awards is if, hey, we have a release date. We're ready to put this thing
guess.
out.
If they were like, March 31st, it's
or something. Yeah, and that would be it's a early 2024 game. Then sure,
to date.
I don't think
give it a new.
If they aren't ready to date that game, I don't think they even talk about it. Has it had a real
trailer, or was it just like we're making it?
No, it was like half and half. Like they definitely showed gameplay footage of that game.
Maybe they go hard on a real like creepy trailer and just say March,
I can see that.
Whatever. And maybe it's called Silent Hill 2 and they put a name on the end of it or something to try to make it seem like it's yeah, there you go. Everything's getting rebirth. Yeah.
There you go.
Fuck.
Here we go. Next email comes from Redacted. This comes from Dane. Howdy guys. Current and hopefully soon XSL here, just wanting to rant about my Black Friday schedule. Our store is mandated to open at 5 a.m. and if I want to make the best out of our limited hours given, means I'll have to work solo until at least 10 a.m. Do you think that's even possible? Past years have had Black Friday much more busy during the day and towards the evening than when we open, but this would be the first time I go solo for 5 hours on Black Friday. Am I crazy? I mean, what I would say is I just go back to the last year that I did Black Friday, which was 2016. And I remember you and I stood there that first hour.
It's weird.
I remember opening and just nobody was there.
Yeah. So it's weird because from personal experience, I've done, I did games retail for 15 years. So I probably did 15 Black Fridays. And the ones that tended to open before 6, like the ones that were like 4 or 5 or whatever, tended to be pretty fucking dead until like the sun came up, at like 8 o'clock, and then it would start to roll. When we were open at midnight, it was busy because people have this delusion that a midnight sale is a sale. So like, remember the one night, I think you and I did it. We were slammed for like an hour, and then it was dead. We could have taken a nap in the store. It was so dead.
That was the year that we discussed, like, what should have happened is we should have opened from midnight to 2, shut down until like 5 or 6, and then come back. Because from like 1 a.m. to about 6, it was dead. We saw maybe 10 people within that time, if that. I know there was at least an hour and a half, 2 hours where we saw nobody.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I said, we could have easily said it now, where it's like you are wasting money as a company by having 4 people work at this time. You know what I mean? So, and that was back when we were given hours.
Right. When we had hours and we had products and sales were okay.
Because that was always the thing about Black Friday is that was the one day they always gave you hours.
Well, that was also the day where I said, fuck it, I'm going to spend what I want and you can yell at me later.
Yeah.
But 5 to 10 by yourself, I would only worry about, like, depending on how seasoned you are, like 5 to 6 could be rough. Depends on how people feel that day, you know. But that doesn't typically last that long. But like I said, around the time the sun comes up, depending on where you are, that's like 8:30. People are going to start to come in because I think we're finally at a point where a lot of people realize that you don't really have to go anywhere Black Friday to get anything. Go online today. All the Black Friday deals are up. You know what I mean? Like Black Friday started a week ago. So
I've already bought, like, I had like 4 or 5 4K Blu-rays I was waiting for to hit that like $5 mark. I'm already done.
Yeah. Like
I already did.
I looked at all the Black Friday stuff today.
Okay.
So, you know, unless you really think that there is a reason people are going to be in your store at open, like, I wouldn't necessarily be too worried about it. But
I don't think
what I would be worried about
I also don't feel like
8 o'clock ish because people are up and
just
about.
Be organized for whatever.
Be ready. And like, if you're organized, it's not going to be as bad because, again, a lot of people too that commit at like 5 or even at whenever they think open is tend to have a plan. They tend to like, I want this, and this.
And they're out.
If you're organized and you're set up, you know, the night before, you know, obviously the night before or Wednesday night or whatever it was.
Wednesday night, yeah.
If you're set up and ready, like we would spend hours to get ready.
Oh yeah, that was always
like, you know, these games aren't on sale yet. I'm still going to put them all behind the counter and make it look like they are because then on Friday they're all ready to go and have systems ready, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's this 5-hour block, 4 of it you're probably going to be alone, but it might get crazy for a little bit. So I think part of it is just to know yourself and know what kind of worker you are, and do the Black Friday mantra that I had for my team when Kyle knows is like, I don't give a shit about pro cards and stuff today. I just don't sell stuff, put money in the register.
Madden, sell Madden.
They want Madden. They came in here and they said they want Madden. Sell them Madden.
Sell them Madden.
Goodbye. Yeah. Would you like a controller? No. Okay. Bye. Like that's the extent of what I'm asking you to push. Or if like what GPGs, you know, a couple of years where they started becoming a thing for us, just ask. If they say no, skip it. Don't ask again. Okay. Move it along. So
I'll put this out there though. I want Black Friday stories sent in for our next podcast.
Many as
I want to hear about it. I want to hear about it. I want a lay of the land because as someone who is not going anywhere on Black Friday,
I want to know
at all. I want to know like how it goes. Like,
but my work is normal, so you know what I mean. Like,
your work is normal.
Yeah,
I am off. I'm not going anywhere.
I'm just gonna sit in my office that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to know like your shift, how it went. Anything crazy happened? Like, I would love to know all of it because
how busy it actually got. If it was, you know, was it a long period of deadness?
Well, and the thing is too, it's like from an employee standpoint, I think Black Friday gets a lot of negative hype just because of the Thanksgiving holiday and our bosses are assholes and are we going to be open or not? The actual day itself is not bad. We all work, like, you know, we would all work full shifts. It was basically like, you want to work 8 hours? Yeah. Everybody would. I'd spend every hour we had. So there'd be times where we had like 5 people on staff rotating around, cleaning shit up. And like, it was just, the days weren't bad because eventually it turns into just kind of like a busier day, you know? And
Saturday was always the worst.
Saturday was towards the end because people come in on Saturday.
It'd be busier, but you'd also be sold out.
You're out of everything that people give a shit about.
By the end of that day.
Yeah, by the end of Saturday, it would get kind of wrecked, and depending on your store, it could be a mess. Ours was big enough where luckily it wasn't terrible. But I want to hear everything about everybody's Black Friday, please.
For sure.
I kind of like in a strange way, I miss it. I would never do it again, but I miss it.
I would never want to do it again. But yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like I still remember the Black Fridays I worked at Target, which were much worse.
Those would be worse.
Stuff.
Those I mean,
those were back in the day. We're going back mid 2000s, where like those were the days where like people waited for hours outside.
Yes,
you'd watch pallets of stuff just disappear within seconds.
Yeah.
You know, the one Black Friday I remember specifically was the year that Guitar Hero 3 and Rock Band 1 came out.
People were like fighting.
I watched the pallets of those kits just disappear before my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
After help bringing those out of the back room and setting them, just like boom, It's gone within 10 minutes, and it's like, what just happened?
Crazy.
So in a strange way, I miss it because like we'd all get to hang out and we'd bring food and drinks and.
Yeah,
just kind of like you. And one of the best part was like there's so many of us working. It's like, you want to take a break? Just go fucking sit in the back for 15 minutes. Nobody cares.
Yeah, no. At that point, it doesn't matter.
I'll come get you if it gets fucking stupid out here. But
yeah, or you could always watch the cameras in the back and see where the way we had our stuff positioned. Yeah. So and see like, okay, it's getting kind of fucked up.
I miss our. I guess what I miss is our team at our store.
You miss the golden days.
I also, and what I don't miss about Black Friday is all the awful seasonal kids I had to hire who couldn't even do that right.
Especially because a lot of them would be like, and just hand out flyers.
A flyer. Keep an eye on what we're out of, because people will ask you where things are. I would go through the whole flyer with them. I'd cross stuff off. I'd say, here's your copy of the flyer. People ask you, we're out of this. Know where things, like your job today is to know where things are.
Yeah.
Somebody comes in and says, oh, I'm just here to get the new Call of Duty game. Tell them, excellent. You can head to the register and just tell them that's what you're looking for. That was their entire job. And they would get that wrong. If it's slow, if it's slow, clean up the front of the store. Cause like, this is your zone. I would tell them like, don't leave this area. Like clean this. They would get that wrong. And then they just never worked again. Cause if you can't get that right, I'm not trusting you to talk to anybody.
Next email we have comes to us from Henry from Columbus, Ohio. This is a potentially interesting one that I did some research on after we got the email. Hey guys, I was curious if you all heard over the week about the big revelation of this ESG/DEI company that basically has been running the games industry for the last 5 years called Sweet Baby. It got exposed on several podcasts over the week, but it garnered almost no attention from mainstream outlets like IGN, GameSpot, or even Kotaku. If you have, what are your thoughts on it? It's pretty wild that one company has had this much input in game story and narrative for half a decade now. So I saw this. I did a YouTube. One of the YouTube podcasts that I follow, this guy went on like I think it was 3 videos. They cut it up. It was a live stream they did off on this Sweet Baby company. It is exactly what you think it is. It is a company that these developers will go to with not only help for like certain things with story, but it's
company.
It's a consulting company, but their input, if you look at what they've done, is
wild,
fucking crazy. Yeah. And recent games, Spider-Man 2,
God of War,
Alan Wake 2, God of War Ragnarok. I had read somewhere, some of their clients, I'll just read them off here. You have Xbox Game Studios, Valve, EA, Santa Monica Studio, obviously, Ubisoft, everything. Yeah. They've done it. One of the good examples I saw when I was digging around on information for it, and now it makes total sense. They had a big hand in the story and narrative and we talked about this on the podcast when it came out, the Horizon Forbidden West DLC.
Yeah.
And now it makes sense why they did what they did with Aloy, because that was easily this company that did it.
Well, because this company, they specialize in diversity and like storytelling and making sure that like this stuff makes sense. But it's kind of weird to me that
one company.
This company is like who everyone goes to. It's like, hey, nobody on our team knows how to write for Asian characters.
Yeah.
You think you could help? And they're like, yeah, that's what we do.
It's a little weird.
It's like, what? And then, then you play like these other games are like, we're a diverse team of people made up of diverse thoughts and everything. It's like, we worked really hard.
Anybody there that has input on
but you didn't do it though? Somebody else did it?
Yeah. That's
what are you paying your writers to do?
Kind of weird. Yeah. The one thing that has come out in this that has garnered a lot of attention is that one of their like mission statements is to write characters in a way that they want to be represented in a video game. And one of the things that's come up and people are kind of up in arms with a little bit is, and I kind of agree with this, is like when I sit down and I play any game as a character, I'm not there to see myself in that character.
That's not the point.
You're not there to see yourself. Like right now I'm playing Alan Wake 2. I don't see myself in either Alan Wake or that Saga Anderson character. Okay. Like I'm just there to find out about their fucking crazy story.
I'm there
and what's going on.
I'm there to experience these characters' lives and their thoughts and their relationships and stuff, and not me. If I wanted to be me, I would play an MMO and make a character that looks like me and play me.
Yeah.
I love Horizon. I love Aloy. I think she's a great character. If she's into men and women, good for her.
Whatever. Yeah.
I don't care. I'm not going to be upset of that. Like, I'm playing as a woman in a game and I don't see myself in that. Oh, no.
That's my point. Like, I'm not there because I want to be represented in that character. No, I'm there to find out about her story.
Yes.
And why that matters.
And the story that exists in this.
Exactly.
I'm never going to see myself in Miles and what he has to deal with on a daily basis.
But he's a hell of an interesting character.
But that's not why I'm here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The more thing about it that's wild to me is it's one company and you just look at their list of what they've touched.
It's everybody.
Even recently. It's everything. It's indie games. It's main, like triple A, quadruple A games.
But then it's weird because then you get like when Spider-Man came out, remember that one writer where she was posting like, my game came out. I'm so excited. Like I wrote for this game and I'm just thrilled. It's like, but now I'm curious as to how much like you guys did versus how much these other people did.
Well, yeah, like what was your actual input on the story of that game?
Who wrote the Miles helps rebuild the music, the Harlem Music Museum?
Oh, yeah. Was
that somebody who worked there, or was that, well, we need some diversity in the game, so we got to call Sweet Baby? I was
going to say, what? I want to know who wrote the idea to kill all those villains off in that game. That's what I want to know.
It's just, I guess, like, reaching out to consulting firms isn't a new thing. I'm sure these things have existed for a long time. And, obviously they go to play other people for.
We know about, graphics, for example, the
engines, all that kind of stuff.
The mock review consulting sites where companies will go to a mock review one to find out, like, hey, at our given time, what would you give this game?
Right.
Because they're trying to hit a specific Metacritic score. So those exist. Like consulting firms exist.
Right.
It's a thing. But it is crazy to me that there's only one right now. One major one that is doing all this narrative and story driven stuff.
It also gives me I don't want to say a bad taste, but like you're writing your game. This is a story you want to tell, but you feel it's not diverse enough. So we're not diverse. The story we wanted to tell is here, but it's not diverse enough for the general public. So what we need to go do is we need to go to this company and force some of that diversity in here and find spots they can add it to make it seem like we did that.
We did it.
But we didn't. Yeah, exactly.
What? You didn't do it?
You know what? I'd be curious now. And like, I'm not the kind of person that sits and watches the credits of video games, but I'd be curious to go back now and like see, is this company like actually listed in the credits? They have to be, right?
I don't know. I could boot up.
That is something I
could boot up the Spider-Man 2 credits and go take a look.
There you go. And sit there for like 30 minutes.
Ugh, man, that was a rough set of credits.
But yeah, it's a very interesting, it's definitely a very interesting story. It was something I literally had zero awareness of until this person emailed in and I was like, I'm going to go look into that.
I had heard of it before this and then this like jogged my memory, but
okay.
I must have seen something come out, but yeah, like nobody's really talking about it. IGN.
It's not something that mainstream is going to talk about.
IGN did this whole dig at like who actually made Super Mario RPG. Okay.
Yeah.
Who actually wrote God of War Ragnarok?
That's what I want to know now, right? Yeah.
Give me some percentages.
How much of Santa Monica actually wrote it versus this company when they shoved it over and said we need it to be more diverse?
What a job.
It's interesting.
Man, you could just write, you could just write for Santa Monica or you could write for everyone.
The thing I ask there is like, how much money is this company generating if they're doing this for everyone?
I would bet you A, it's a lot. And B, I would bet that they work almost on some kind of like I don't want to say like freelancer thing, but like they have people they can reach out to where the company comes to them and they're like, we need to tell the story of a young Hispanic woman in this game. And they go, we got her. She's right here. And they just call her up and be like, you want to write for this Ubisoft game? Sure. Weird. It's just like
you have X amount of days to. But the thing is like,
the other concept that's wild about this is like this exists probably far more in Hollywood, where like,
oh no, I like
guys writing scripts.
This company,
and it's not even there's nothing left of that script by the end of it. It has
to be tenfold in Hollywood today. Yes. It has to be. Mm-hmm. So it's just you don't ever hear about it. So
well, I think in Hollywood the thing about it is you do hear about it, but I don't think you ever know the extent of like what it is. Where like I wrote the screenplay.
What is this original draft?
Yeah, I wrote the screenplay for this movie, and then 5 years later, it's called something else. 8 other people have written on it. Well, but you get the credit somehow. You know,
that actually brings up a good point. Is this one of the things I would talk to my friend about? The guy that did for Netflix all of those horror things for the last couple of years, like Haunting of Hill House, all those, right? That guy's contract ended with Netflix. He was to do 5 series. He did 5 series. He's out. But he had talked since I think whatever Midnight Mass was the first one where they like really pushed back on like whatever his vision was versus Netflix's vision. That he's, kind of had this back and forth. And now he's out. He's cut a deal. I think I read today with Amazon for whatever he's doing next. And he just finished wrapping a like Stephen King movie adaptation of one of those books, but that was very heavily publicized. Like he was not happy with what they were changing about what he was doing, and that's why I wonder is this kind of a step in of that, like in Hollywood sense of like, well, we don't like that you're doing this and this. So it makes me wonder, like for a lot of these things, what was the original vision versus okay, now we send it over to them. And they cut it up and change it to what it becomes.
Like I said, these games too are weird. It's like, do they come to them and be like, "Hey, we're making this big open game, right? And we're gonna have 40 side quests, right? Can you write like 10 of those, but make them like
exactly,
certain different ways, and you know what I mean? Like I assume that's a part of it. Mm-hmm. Imagine a game like Horizon, like you need people to write these little side quest NPCs and stuff, right?
You do.
Yeah, you don't want your main writer of like the main story narrative necessarily writing.
I would imagine that's broken
NPC
up
conversation.
Yeah,
Spider-Man has a shitload of those. So
all those Sony first-party games, like that's what comes to mind because they're all kind of
Assassin's
the same type of game if you think about it. But mm-hmm. I think of something like Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
The amount of like small conversations you have with people in that game, there's no way like the main writing staff is handling that shit.
No. So I'm sure this company does stuff like that too.
And I'm sure they make a bank on it.
Wild and interesting thing that, like I said, I wouldn't even thought to look into it until this email came through. Yeah, exactly. Next email we have comes from Vince from Redacted. Howdy, gents. Been listening to you all for over a year now. I'm an ASL at GameStop, and after being beaten down the past few years with myself and the SGA, they're considering a walkout on Black Friday. I've seen other stores do this in the last month, and we both had it with the store, the company, the metrics, and the district leader. The one thing preventing us from doing it, our SL is not on board and is also extremely nice to us, which kind of throws us in a loop. It is just the 3 of us total, and if myself and the SGA quit, then I feel like it's punishing our SL more than the company. The SGA and I are really struggling with what to do. This would be a much easier decision if my SL was on board. Any advice? I mean... What I would honestly say is I get it being pissed off about it. Personally, I wouldn't go about doing it this way. And that's just simply because in the grand scheme of things, we've seen this come up on you've seen the Kotaku articles and stuff like this store walked out today for a game on the other side of a GameStop. It's a drop in the bucket. Yeah. What are they going to do? They're going to have a day of you're going to have a day of your district leader scrambling to find somebody to open that store as quickly as possible because nobody's there.
While I fully understand the urge to do it and to just say fuck it, I'm out and pick a day that would be, the worst for them. I mean, that's a bad day to do it for them. Yeah. It doesn't send the statement you think it does. The DL, if the DL already doesn't like you, now he just thinks even less of you and he doesn't care about you and he forgot about you. But the flip side to this is like, yes, your SL, you like your SL, and your SL is a nice person, and he's not on board, or they're not on board. You also don't owe them anything. Like it's if anything, if your SL sees that you're unhappy or sees that like this isn't going anywhere, and like he should help you move on. He should encourage you to move on.
Exactly.
When people left us to get other jobs, I never told them like, hey man, you should stay. I told them good. No. I told them great. Yeah. You should leave. Like when our one friend, he got it. You know, he used me as a reference for it, and I said, "Yeah, man, have him call me. Get the hell out of here." Like it's. I don't take it as an affront of you wanting to leave as a dig on me. Now, had he just bolted on his Black Friday shift he was scheduled for, I would have been really pissed off. But part of me would have accepted it. I think the better thing to do, and maybe some of this depends on how old you are, because I'm older now, but like, is to just obviously you've talked to your SL about this and told them like, I'm not happy. We're thinking about bailing on Black Friday. Are you in? And when he said no, you kind of have to respect that. Like, maybe you don't understand why he's drinking the Kool-Aid. I certainly don't, but he is, and he's still in, and he has obligations to a family or something, and he can't.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
and you can't. And your SGA can. But honestly, the better move for you in the long run is to be an adult and just be like, look, man, I'm quitting. I'm just going to quit.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in the 2 weeks bullshit. Like, yeah, that'll hamper me as a store leader if you don't give me 2 weeks, but companies don't give you a 2 week notice most times.
Not at all. And I'll also say
because my store was closing and they didn't want to get rid of me. But if they caught you stealing on your time card, they're going to walk in and say, pack your shit and get out.
You don't owe them the same thing. Oh, well, 2 weeks and you're out. Right. Yeah, no, that's not going to.
That'd be nice if they did that.
I mean, the one thing I'll say here is I've kind of been in this boat for what I did with one of my recent jobs, with the way that I left it, but that was a completely different situation where I just had enough mentally of what was going on at the place where I could not deal with it at a mental capacity anymore. But that was a different situation. In your situation here, if your SL is not on board, like, and you like that person, I wouldn't screw them over in this way. In the reality of the situation is you're only making their day harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Friday, that's a very shitty day to do that to somebody. So, like, if it was all three, like, I think it would be a little flipped if you had emailed in and say, "Hey, we all have backup jobs set up. We're planning on doing this." All for it.
Do it because you're working together to screw the company, which deserves.
Yeah, that's different. But in this case, I wouldn't support it. Just simply
my suggestion would just be like, "Hey, you've got me scheduled Black Friday and Saturday, and the Saturday." I'll show up, I'll do it, but I'm not working beyond that. I can't. And they obviously know why. There's a precedence for this, but bailing's it's shitty. It's shitty. Especially if your SL is cool and you like your SL. Like it's there's other ways to do it and not fuck him completely. Now, if your SL sucked and he was the reason you had to get out and all this stuff, then yeah, man, fuck them. Like, again, you don't owe these people anything, but
no,
you can quit anytime you want. If you don't need the job, man, you don't need the job.
For sure.
And maybe the other part of it is just to set realistic expectations. Like, I will work Black Friday, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be a register monkey and I'm going to click and sell and just move it on out. So
yeah, I love that.
If he's not prepared for it, like, obviously signs for this were coming, right? This isn't like I decided yesterday, fuck it, I'm going.
No.
Like, there have been flags for this. If he's not, and that's the other thing, is this is kind of on him if he's not prepared. He's got 3 people working total. The lowest I ever ran a store with was 4, and that was tough. So he needed to probably be prepared that this could happen, especially when you went to him and said, "We're bailing you in." He should have had a backup plan in place from that second.
Yeah.
So part of it's on him too, but
for sure,
I guess it's, be the person you want to be. Would you want someone to do it to you? Probably not.
Our final email of the week comes from Brian from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Very short email. Hey guys, quick question. Do you think Hellblade 2 will come out in 2024? Seems like more than any other release, Microsoft is dragging its feet on this one. I thought this was funny because I'm pretty sure they just came out and said it would be in the later half of 2024.
Yeah.
Which, like, how is this game not done yet?
I don't know. It's a little weird.
Like, this game was shown at the same Game Awards as the reveal for the Series X. So 2019. Think about that.
Yeah.
The first trailer for Hellblade 2 was at the 2019 Game Awards, and we are still talking about this.
Well, we just got a little bit more on it at that Xbox thing.
We did.
The Xbox thing actually seemed to lay out some semblance of a plan. Right,
it did a little bit because remember they were like, "We're done with the what was it? The performance capture for the game." I think is what they said.
Yeah.
So, but you have to imagine
I'm talking about like other games though, because they were basically like, "Yeah, Fable's pretty much ready," and what's the other one? Avowed, pretty much like we're there.
I feel like your big 2024, the three big Microsoft games are probably this. Fable is probably an end of the year 2024 game, and Avowed is probably that could be like May.
I could see it being like Avowed May, Fable
Hellblade August. Fable earlier.
Fable,
you think Fable?
Early. Well, it's all Game Pass anyway, so time of the year really doesn't mean shit anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Then Hellblade could be your October, November. Remember, there's always like Forza and something. So like.
Do you think we get a Forza? I think we get another year off Forza before Horizon 6 or whatever we call it.
You would hope so, but that doesn't mean anything.
They stick to this Forza and just pound out some DLC for it.
That's a smarter way.
They need to move it to a 2-year cycle for those.
They definitely seem to have a better grasp on. We really got to fucking put these games out, guys. And now that and the thing is now that Activision and Blizzard is done. Right,
that's a big factor.
They still have to
took up a lot of their energy.
They got to figure out hierarchy, and they got to get Bobby out of there when the year rolls. And they got to figure. So they got to play around with a lot of that shit. But it does seem like they could finally be like, "All right,
breathe.
We're done. We don't have to buy anything for years now, like literal years. What we need to focus on is." Getting these games out, getting Bethesda games out, like my fucking Indiana Jones game needs to come out, please.
Do you think that game is by end of next year?
Indiana Jones? No.
I would think so, right?
No.
You don't think so?
Unless I get,
you think it's 2025?
My bombshell reveal at the Game Awards, I think it's 25.
Think it's 25?
They have not talked about it. They won't talk about it.
They haven't, to be fair. I mean, I'm still waiting for Wolfenstein 3.
But that can't happen until this is done.
Until Indiana Jones comes out. I know.
So
crazy because we were there.
Yes. It's ready to go.
We were ready for that last part. I need him to fight Mecha Hitler.
It's there.
So, we're there.
But that's why, like, when they said Machine Games is making Indiana Jones, like, that's cool. They could use that time to take a break from Wolfenstein. So that, because remember, for a while, they were just kind of
long break.
They were kind of pumping out Wolfenstein shit.
Well, they did those two Wolfenstein games, and they did those like
the two small things,
All Blood, Young Blood, and like.
So they were really
kind of ramping it up,
shoving out that stuff, and it's like, great, Indiana Jones will let them take a break, and then it's like, oh well, shit, now this is kind of taking
a long break, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think Hellblade seems like it should be next year. I think you're right. So. I think there's 3 next year. I think it's Fable.
Fable really seems like it's much further than anybody.
It seems a lot farther than anybody.
They showed a lot of that.
They showed what looked like the game just being played.
So yeah. So I'm ready for that.
My thought would be maybe that would be the first one. That would be your like you said, like your May, June.
I think that's like your May. I don't think it would be earlier than. I would be surprised if they all of a sudden now were like, "Hey, March," because I just think there's too much.
No, and
I think if you came out and said May. Okay, now I have something to look forward to.
We say it a lot. We're like, I think this company learned a lesson by doing this, and they never do.
They don't.
But I think Redfall was a lesson.
I do think that was a lesson of
maybe if
it's not ready,
maybe
don't put it
not.
Out. Yeah.
Like we're talking about Redfall now, 3rd patch. Like we talked about last time, maybe it should just come out in October. Like.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have changed.
I
The
really
only
don't
thing that would have
think
done is
anyone
made
would
that
have been
game
upset.
better. It's not.
Yeah,
Nobody would have been upset that it was 5 months later. They would have been.
No.
They would have been like, "This is a better game than we thought it would have been."
I would have been happy for it coming out in October because that's when it would have made sense.
Yes.
It's a horror game. So
there's a lost art of
yeah.
like people actually doing that and actually getting this shit right. Like Alan Wake is like the last time somebody actually got this shit right.
I was also gonna get
you were gonna get
Alone in the Dark game,
but
and now it's January, and like that went from like they put it, was at a point where I was like, well, I'm gonna have to wait because there's no way I can play that in Alan Wake. To now, hey, we're gonna put it out the same week as Infinite Wealth.
Well,
great. I'm gonna have to still wait.
Yeah.
So, but I also want to see what kind of reviews that game gets. I
think that might be it'll go on sale.
Wait for a sale. It will go on sale fast.
Yes.
But anyways, as always, that's going to wrap up emails. Always send your emails into podcast572@gmail.com. Otherwise, that is going to wrap up this edition of the podcast. We will be back in another 2 weeks for some more fun.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe.